Well, hello there, friends, and welcome. Welcome back
Mm.
to Virtual Show, the only late night VR talk show. I'm your host, Wes. With me, as always, my good friend Roots. Roots, we did it. We're back.
We're back. We got two shows in a row that with a solid green square with no bouncing around stuff. I think that was the modem, which I'm happy to solidify that, put it back in the past. And Actually, I'm really tempted to run downstairs and see if Aileen Kara really is down there, because they said they're hanging out and talking to my roommate, and so I'm just trying to see is what's going on down there. So.
The community has implanted spies into your life, Roots. They've got their eyes on you.
Yeah, well, that's right. It's good community. Although I do say Swarm is good, and it's a good game, and guess I'll
You might
just.
watch it, man. You might watch what you say. You never know who might sneak up behind you and
Uh,
put the smack down, huh?
oh, that's right. Well, at least I got my door locked. I got a good lock on my door, but yeah, definitely have to. I hate Swarm. It sucks.
Good. Smart man. Smart man. Dude, summertime again upon us. Are you excited for all the shows that are about to happen? Like, I think two or three of them are coming on Friday.
Yeah. There's a lot of news, a lot of surprises. I think we're about to find out. I don't know. I have a feeling there's going to be some stuff come out that we just weren't expecting, which I guess is pretty par for the course, right?
Well, it makes you wonder. It makes you wonder how much influence and access a company like Upload VR has in the industry now, right? Because, obviously they're the premier VR gaming news source in our industry right now. But still, largely their access is we'll just put it this way: that they tend to get better access from titles that aren't funded directly by Oculus or Sony. They have access at some pretty big studios, but generally the larger, bigger budget titles tend to be revealed in uh, you know self-sponsored events. Like Oculus likes to reveal their own titles, Sony likes to reveal their own titles. So everything else is kind of what falls under the umbrella of websites like Road to VR and Upload. So it makes you kind of wonder, how excited should we really be?
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I mean, not everything comes out of those big studios, right? So maybe something's out there.
Well, that's true. And then there's a lot of outstanding release dates. I feel like, the big news coming out of all of these shows, more than new game reveals, is probably going to be release dates, because we have a laundry list of games that we know are coming soon that don't have dates yet. So I kind of feel like that's what's going to be taking place over the next couple of weeks. We're going to start to get some dates on games that we're expecting dates on, and then probably some that will, have kind of fallen back a little bit. Games like Undead Citadel or Vertigo 2, games like this. We'll probably have one or two of those pop up as well.
Yeah, I bet we find out at least one or two games that we're expecting this summer aren't coming this summer too. Sometimes that's what we hear, some bad news, right? No, this isn't coming. Where's our Lone Echo 2, man? How long is it? I mean, we've been waiting for that sucker forever, although I'm not like chomping at the bit for it, but I know that it's something that a lot of people are waiting for, and still don't have a solid exact time frame, right?
Well, I mean, the thing that really makes Lone Echo 2 kind of have the legs that it has had and the staying power on the wish list is the fact that it's a PC exclusive. I mean, how many PC exclusives, big budget PC exclusives, do you hear about these days?
None, dude. You know what's funny? I was looking at the because we're game of the month again, and I'm like, wow, this is how things have turned. The worm has turned, right? I mean, we're not even a year away from people complaining that nothing was coming out for Quest and everything was PCVR, and now it's like I'm looking at the list and I'm like, what? Nothing's coming out, and it's just the way it is. There's not much coming out for PCVR anymore these
Yeah,
days, anyway.
I had to work a little bit to put that game of the month list together. I almost I came this close to just making it one of those months where, we had a default winner and one title was kind of the only one I talked about. But there were some other titles that came out in May that I recognized, at least recognized the titles of, so I put them on here. We'll talk a little bit about those, but I don't think there's going to be much debate when it comes to which game was game of the month in that category anyway.
Yeah, that's crazy. It's just a crazy turn, and shows you how everything's changing. So
Yeah, and the only thing constant is change. So it'll change again. PCVR is going to have its time. PSVR is going to have its time, but it's pretty obvious that right now it's the Oculus Quest's time, right?
yeah, yeah, especially since a lot of these titles, if you don't, I was thinking about this today, and I was thinking about, um, you know, more Scion. I was gonna say the Scions and the Gerillos, but Gerillos in Vorpex world, dude, he could care less about games. He's playing all
Right.
the exclusive AAA games in VR. But if you don't have a Quest, like how much are you missing out on? A lot, right? Like
Yeah.
it's just crazy. And what a bummer.
Well, it just goes to show what I say. Anytime I see, any person who's claiming that their platform is the only way and to hell with the other two, I have to, take pause and put them in check a little bit because that's just not the reality. No matter which platform you're talking about, every platform has its time. Every platform has its exclusives, and if you're missing any of the three, then you're missing out on something. And whether or not that's something you really care about, I mean, I guess that's going to vary from person to person, but there's no debating that there's amazing releases on all of the platforms.
Yeah, it's amazing what you aren't missing out on when you don't have something. And then if you get it, you would have been missing out on it.
Right.
Because people will convince themselves, doesn't matter what it is. I don't care about that. First thing they get it, they're, wow, I got to check out Astrobot. I got to check out whatever. I hear that about the PlayStation VR all the time, right?
Right.
But that's life.
Yeah. It's funny how many people dismiss PSVR, and then when they finally do get into it, they realize, oh man, big budget, you know, Sony funded games actually do make a difference, right?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, there's so many different aspects of different games. Even like Risk of Rain 2, people might say that that's not. They might totally write that off because the graphics aren't as good as like Returnal, but the gameplay is so amazing that's what draws me in. Like as long as there's something, you got to have one of those big things that draw you in, right? And if you can have all of them, uh, then you're set. So
Yeah, yeah. But anyway, loads of news to come. Super pumped about the news we've already got, dude. I'm so hyped for Sniper Elite. I think that um, it's going to be one of those big releases, right? It's going to be one of those AAA quality games that we're talking about on the 2021 show at the end of the year when we're discussing what the game of the year is going to be. And not very long to wait, not very long to wait at all. What, like 3 weeks now? That one, I think that and After the Fall are really the two that are firmly in our crosshairs right now. And it'll be interesting to see how the events and announcements over the next week or two might possibly change that.
I'm excited and sketched. Because the last time I felt this way about a game like Sniper Elite, because I had these feelings watching the trailer during the last show. I had Medal of Honor flashbacks all over again. I was so excited, and I was like, "Oh my god, this thing looks amazing!" And so I'm really, really hoping that it gets delivered in the way that I wanted Medal of Honor to be delivered, and just really sketched out that it may not, but it's my expectations, you know what I mean, of what I want out of it. But I think it does look amazing.
Well, I can't speak for everyone, but all I can say for myself when it comes to Sniper Elite, what I really want is a good solid 3 minutes of gameplay and then mission accomplished. And then three more
It'd
minutes of gameplay and then mission accomplished. That would be just sweet.
be amazing. It'd be just like Medal of Honor. But yeah, I don't know. I just want that. I want that World War II itch scratch. You know what I mean? So
Yeah. Yeah. And, it looks like they've put a lot of attention into the gunplay in that one. And I don't know, it feels like a hybrid to me, man. It feels kind of like a hybrid of a like Medal of Honor type game. Uh, and like other big budget games like a Defector or a Blood and Truth. It looks a bit cinematic in some aspects, but the gameplay seems to be there, unlike other games that do have that cinematic flair going on.
yeah, you need it all. The cinematic's not enough. You need some gameplay in there. Some amazing gameplay, and it does. It looks amazing. So I think it's going to be good. I think it's going to be everything we hoped it would be, and live up to the franchise, right?
Yeah, Gamertag VR in the chat says, you know who else likes a good 3 minutes?
My mom!
Oh yeah, she does. Sometimes four.
Anyway, a lot to get to today. We've got impressions on 3 new VR releases: Carve Snowboarding, Stones of Harlath, and then Guardians. And then after we get by all of that, then we get to dig in on Game of the Month for May. And these months, very different one to the next. But if you go back and look month to month to month, you could tell it's building. And a lot of great games came out in May, and a lot of great games already out this month, and going to be coming out before we see July get here. So it's exciting times. It's exciting times to be a VR gamer. But before we get to any of that, let's kick it off the way we always do by saying hello to our friends in chat. And we already said hello to our friend GT. Thanks for stopping by, man. He normally doesn't show up until the end of the show, Ruuts. He's up early today.
He's doing laundry. He said he hates it, but hey, at least we can be there with you to do your laundry, bro. It makes me happy.
Yeah, he says, I really want to play Guardians again. It had a big update. See, I hadn't played it before. This was my first experience in it. And I have some interesting thoughts on it, but we'll get to that in a moment. Dark Angel. It seems like Dark Angel always comes out after dark, or it's like she's always around for the Wednesday show. So it's been a while since we've been able to hang out late. It's good to see her in the chat tonight.
Yeah, night owl.
Absolutely. I can relate. Mash Daddy in the chat as always. Hello, Eric. Island Kara taking a moment away from chatting with Ruuts' roommate to join us in chat. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Hussein X, Mepper in the house. And see, I thought there was someone. Oh, Eddie C. Eddie C. So hello, friends. Come on, come on. Let's have some fun. Let's try to stay awake and talk a little VR.
Mash says Risk of Rain 2 and Returnal are the only games he wants to play right now. And
I can relate, dude. Like Returnal, it's one of these things where you say, well, I'm just going to go in for a half an hour. I'm just going to play it for 30 minutes to, I want to play an hour. And then you end up sitting down and you're like, oh man, everything's just going so great. You don't want to stop, right? Because you spend a period of time grinding so that you can prepare for the boss battle. And by the time you've really, at least the way I play it, by the time I've really grinded out the level and got my character to the way that I want it and my build to the way that I want it, I've been playing a while and I need to take a break. But if you take a break, now you're talking about coming into the boss fight cold. You're not warmed up. You're not zoned in on the game. So it's one of those things where you just really, there's never a good time to stop playing. So you just do like I did yesterday and play all day long. It's literally what I did yesterday, Ruuts. I didn't stop at all.
I bet your wife loves that. What's funny is it's just
She does, Ruuts. She enjoys watching me play. She sits right there and watches the whole thing.
wow. Well, see, and that's what's cool. That's why she's the perfect half, the yin to your yang, right? Because if you get somebody that can just chill and hang out and enjoy spending time with you in that respect, you know what I mean?
It's a testament to that game. If it were any other game, she'd be like wanting to watch, Netflix or something or Hulu. But she's invested in the game just like I am. So like she wants to know what's happening too and try to figure out the mystery of this story.
Well, now I want to know, damn it, and I don't have a PlayStation 5. I don't get to know. Maybe in the future.
Anyway, dude, I hope that I've heard some rumor about maybe this getting some kind of a PSVR or PS5 VR um, experience or a port. If they port this game 1-to-1 into VR, even if it were just 3D theater mode, not even full VR, it's going to be crazy, dude. That third boss fight that I fought yesterday, it's the way it takes place is like you're kind of on a falling platform. Like the platform that you're running around on is falling through space, and things have kind of been destroyed to the point where there's platforms everywhere, and you grapple from platform to platform as it's falling, and try to kind of climb your way up to the megalithic boss. And if I were ever to be able to experience that in 3D, it might just be the coolest thing I've ever played.
I guarantee they could do it. I mean, I'm jumping around and zipping around in Risk of Rain 2. I don't see why any more movement would, I mean, it would, you'd have to cater to non uh people with VR legs, right? Not the wusses. So you'd have to.
It probably would be very disorienting if it were full VR for
But you
sure.
could still do full VR and have it, and you could have it in the first person like this one. The mod, you can put it in third person view if you want. You could have it in the first person view. If you could take the exact same game and it would be phenomenal in that environment. Doesn't matter. You don't have to be looking through the eyes to be immersed, right? You could be from a distance, a good distance away. I think it would be amazing.
I don't know. I don't know if they could pull this one off in first person. There's a lot of precision platforming in it. It's not just all run and gun.
Mm.
You have to have a lot of spatial awareness. Now, I could be wrong. It may would work out better to be in the first person perspective, but from the outside looking in, I think that this game would probably be more well served as a third person game in VR.
Yeah, and you could leave it just like other games. I mean, everything doesn't have to be a first person. Now, let me ask you this. I got a conundrum. Is it considered cheating if I do a mod for Risk of Rain 2 for a mini map that shows like the enemies around and it'll show them in red? Because I feel like if I was playing it flat, it kind of would, but because I am playing a third person game in first person view, I can't see what's going on behind me. It would kind of balance it a little bit. You know what I mean? I just found this mod today and I was debating whether I do it. Mash, let me know in the comments what you think. Is that cheating to you, Wes?
No, it's a common thing in these types of games, so I say go for it. I mean, no more cheating than playing it in VR in the first place. You know what I mean?
That's true. Well, I just I'm so invested in this game. It's so much fun and just pushing and getting better and it's just really cool.
Yeah, yeah. It's an amazing game for sure, and good fun with friends.
Yeah. Yeah, a lot of fun.
Yeah, that's kind of the value of the game to me is having something like that you can play in VR with your friends. Pretty cool.
Yeah, it's super cool.
Anyway, no time to waste. Lots to talk about here. So why don't we jump right into it and start off with probably the highest profile release of the month. Carve Snowboarding came to us a few weeks back from Shuhai Labs. This game launched exclusively on the Oculus Quest platform for $20 US. Ruuts, this is interesting. This is a game that I didn't know that I wanted until I got into it. Like, we decided to check it out because of basically because of the reputation of the developer and because of what other people were saying about this game. We decided that we wanted to give it a look, and it's kind of hard to play a game like this so soon after playing the skiing game that we played not long ago, the Powder VR, and not draw some comparisons here. But my early impressions of the game versus a game like Powder, which is a fun game in its own right, um, this game was a lot easier to just pick up and play. I felt like.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. I think, man, I don't know if it's the fact that it's a little bit different. You got that extra board, but like when you look down, you actually it feels like you're attached to the board, right? You got your hands, you got it actually you feel a little bit more present, I would say, than in this one. And that would be one thing that I would recommend Powder again that they do, right?
Yeah, well, it's interesting because we draw a lot of similarities because of the types of environments and what you're doing. But we should, make the distinction that this is a snowboarding game where Powder does Powder have snowboarding? I only played it as a skiing game.
Yeah, I thought it had some snowboarding in it, but as far as I thought it was good. Maybe I'm thinking of the skateboarding thing. I thought they had snowboarding on there.
They probably do. I didn't try that aspect of it out, but they probably do. It would make sense. Um, but I see a lot of similarities in these two games. Um, but with that said, I think that the biggest difference being that Powder was an early access game, and this game seems much more like a finished product.
Yeah, yeah. This is the only thing, and this is my gripe. I just want a campaign of as I'm playing this, it's very makes me feel like a lot of the skateboarding games, right? And I'm expecting to see like an S and an N and an O and a W and like things to gather, right? A bell to smash up against, even though it's not Tony Hawk. I just I like freestyle and I like time trials, but I want more. I don't know, are they planning on adding a little bit more to it or
I'm no, not that I'm aware of. Now that
okay,
doesn't mean that most of the time, uh, with most games, generally there's more to come.
that's true.
But as far as I know, I mean, I don't know of any announced plans to add to this game. And in my opinion, I don't, I didn't play through it. Maybe there needs to be more tracks or whatever. But the ones I played, I enjoyed, and I felt like it was much more intuitive than the skiing game Powder, and I felt like it had a lot more personality with with the way the user interface works and the awesome soundtrack.
Mm.
Um, uh,
Soundtracks, right? You can find those tapes,
yeah, yeah, and
unlock them.
that was another cool aspect of it. So for those of you who haven't played, this obviously is a downhill snowboarding game, and it's basically it gives you a handful of tracks, and you can play them in one of two ways. You can either play them as a time trial, which is where I spent most of my time was in time trial, or you can play them as freestyle, which is a more trick oriented scoring system. Now, interesting to note, when you're playing time trial, you can still do tricks. You just aren't rewarded for it. It'll just, pat you on the back. That was an awesome trick, and you go on. Uh, Time trial is all about speed. Freestyle is all about tricks. Now, there are multiple paths down any course that you choose. It forks and forks again. So you do have a little bit of choice when it comes to what direction you want to go. And depending on which direction you want to go, you'll find various items that you can pick up. You'll unlock new boards, you'll unlock new cosmetics and new soundtracks, something to give you a little bit of incentive other than just wanting to one up yourself on the leaderboards. Uh, Gives you some incentive to go back in and repeat the courses. Um, but I think you were when you say you want more. Were you talking about you wanted the tracks to be more campaign structured so that you don't have to like choose it and choose your game mode every time? Is that what you're talking about?
Well, I mean, just something that's going to draw me through, because the cosmetics aren't going to. I mean, especially in a game that's 90% of the time I'm going to be in. I don't know when you'd even see your cosmetics. I guess when you go back to your house, you can look in the mirror. You know what I mean? But for the most part, you're never going to see all the stuff that you've unlocked. So I just it's simple things like one of the best things about Tony Hawk skating or is like going through and trying to get, and even though it's, you know, every level you've got SKATE, you're trying to unlock that, you know, there's they have little mini missions, things that draw you back in, that help you progress. I mean, you do have to fit past this to unlock to go to the next one, right? So I mean, there is progression. You can't just go through and play every single one. But I'm always looking for like outside of, you know, what's going to get me back into it several times in after I've played it several times. You know, I'm not a time person. And I'm probably not going to do this tricks that this person's doing. They are pretty cool. And that was really one of the things that I did think, like you said, it was very intuitive. It was fun to ski or to snowboard. And I can imagine if you're getting really good at these tricks and grinding these rails and stuff, that would be pretty cool. Maybe if you could go down and race somebody in here, you know, co-op with a friend, as we always say. But yeah, that's pretty much what I'm talking about. Just like more campaign geared. But I'm always looking for a campaign or something story wise, drawing me through.
Right, right. So I mean, no, that isn't something that you typically see in this type of game, but I guess they could do that, right? They could make it like, what was that skiing movie from way back when? They could put a story behind, a story campaign behind it if they wanted to, and that would certainly appeal to some people. But really, what appealed to me again was just uh, the vibe of the game and how easy it is to play. Now, when I say easy to play, I don't mean that it's easy to do well in. It's obviously not. I kind of suck at it when I look at my spots on the leaderboard, but it's easy to pick up and learn how to play. It's easy to learn and difficult to master, if that means anything. Um, Even the tricks, like it took me a little while to figure out just how to land them just right. I was holding on too long to the board. But once you learn how to jump and spin and grab your board, this game gets a whole lot funner. It feels really good to grab big air, and if you pick your spot and pick the right route, you can really grab some big air in this game. And that's what I feel like more than anything that this game offers that no other game that I've played does, is that feeling of big air uh, when you're moving at these, uh, I don't want to say breakneck speeds, but you do move pretty quickly in this game.
Yeah, yeah, it's actually, and like you said, the intuitiveness of the controls is good. What is it? You move one, which way you move in your controllers spin or moves the board, right? It's easy. There's no, it's not cluttered like some of the other games that are like this, where as you're going down, you're like trying to control it. And this one, you feel like you have control, until you don't, and then you're smacking into a tree, which does happen. And it happened to me quite a few times.
Yeah, I kept hitting rocks.
Well, you're trying to go fast down this mountain, right? But no, I mean, it was definitely cool. And, you know, I don't know if they're going to add tracks or something. Obviously, more tracks would always be good down the road. But I think $20 is pretty fair price for this game for sure.
Yeah, yeah, it's fun. And as far as like the challenge with your friends, there's a ghost mode. So whenever you pick a track and you pick which game mode you want to play, it'll show you where your friends are at on the leaderboard, and you can choose to play versus their ghost. So it'll have their run and have like an outline version of them visible on the track, so you can go head to head without them being there live with you, which I thought was a cool touch. Um, I did enjoy unlocking the boards. The different boards have different attributes, and depending upon the 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 track you're on and the route you plan to take, uh, choosing your board and tailoring it to the run is something that you can do that will significantly affect your scores. So I did enjoy finding new boards. That was really whenever I would start a track. my first couple runs generally were spent, instead of trying to score, uh, trying to find all the collectibles, the pickups, because it isn't all just cosmetic. The boards themselves are very functional, and they help. So generally, I would spend a couple of runs trying to collect that stuff, and then after I got that and kind of got a feel for the track, then that's when I would start to try to attack the scores. Um, the better you score, they have objectives, and by hitting certain benchmarks, you'll unlock. I guess they're called trophies or whatever. And the more trophies you have, the more tracks unlock for you. So that's kind of how the game is structured. You have to do so well at this track before you can unlock the next one. Um, so yeah, I enjoyed the structure of it. I enjoyed how easy it was to pick up and play. Really, the attitude and the feel of it, the vibe overall, might be my favorite thing about it. Again, the soundtracks are just awesome, and the user interface great as well. Um, really, my only real complaint about it is I didn't feel the speed in it as much as I wanted to. Like you get moving pretty quick on the thing. Don't get me wrong, but I feel like, again, to put it head to head with powder, that was one of the things that powder really had an advantage in. When it was difficult to get going on powder, but once you got going, you went fast, and it felt fast. This game, it doesn't feel so fast, and I'm sure that they probably didn't want people to get sick or whatever, or feel discomfort. But I would really enjoy it if there was like a mode
Mm.
that you could set in the settings that really unlock the speed of the game.
Yeah, because I don't know if you've ever gotten going out of control on a skis or a snowboard in real life. It feels fast and out of control. You know what I mean? Like it doesn't, it's almost uncomfortable. Like you're like, oh my God, I think I'm going too fast, you know? So if you can nail that, that absolutely is something that's going to add to the immersion for sure.
Were you as surprised as I was at just how good the game actually looked, it being a standalone Quest game?
I'm starting to not get surprised at that as much, but it did look really good. And I just said what I'm surprised about, Wes, is what I opened the show with, saying about people that have written off the Quest and just how much they're missing out on because of it. It sucks. You know what I mean? Like they really are missing out on a lot, and it's a shame.
Yeah,
Scion.
with the right, with the you know with the Oculus Quest 2 being so much more powerful now, and not only that, but the developers getting years of experience now working on making Oculus Quest games, we're starting to see real gains in the quality of the game from a production standpoint. Graphics are I mean, don't get me wrong, they're not PCVR, and it's gonna be difficult for them to ever live up to that standard. But they are very nice looking. Some games now are these days, and I feel like this game here, I really wasn't expecting much from it visually, and that didn't really bother me. Games like this are more about the gameplay anyway. But I was surprised. I was surprised that it looked as good as it did, and it really kind of if you think about it, this type of game is set up well to look good on Quest, because generally outdoor games on Quest, you can tell you're playing a mobile game because of the way the foliage looks. Generally, trees and bushes and stuff, they don't look very good on the standalone versions of games. But in this game, it's all covered in snow, and it all works very well, and it all looks really good.
Yeah, and you're moving so fast. It does, you know what I mean? It's not like you're stopping. And that's where a lot of times when you're having to stop and looking at something for too long, and that's when you notice a lot of things moving through. I don't know if you notice anything. You know what I mean? You're moving so fast. But
Right, you're just looking at landmarks, right, to try to decide where you want to go next. You're not really paying much attention to anything else. Um, you're just trying to stay in control, right?
yeah, absolutely. Gamertag says people have written off the Quest. Yeah, some people we know in the
Yeah.
community have sworn off the Quest forever, and will never try it, and it's just not happening, bro. And I feel
Yeah.
sad for them because they're missing out on a lot of good experiences. And I'm surprised that, think about this, Wes. It was like again a year ago or whatever, where we were having the discussion of what would get me to get a Quest, and I said there was no reason to. At that point, there was no real exclusives for the Quest, or the Quest series or of headsets, and now there's so many coming out that are straight to Quest. There is no, at least as far as we know, this being one of them. You just can't experience it unless you have a Quest or Quest 2.
Yeah, more and more of these games coming out that are Quest exclusive, and you wonder if they'll ever even bother with a Rift release. Only time will tell. Um, Another thing that really surprised me about this game, Roots, is I expected this to be a game that is pretty much impossible to play tethered. I thought that there would be a lot more movement, physical movement in real life than what I actually ended up doing. I put my chair aside for once and cleared out a play space and set it up. Went into the living room so that I had a lot of room. And turns out I didn't need it at all. There's even a seated mode in this game.
Yeah, there's no reason to stand. You don't need to stand. Dude, I've been playing Risk of Rain 2 sitting. You just don't need to stand, man. Even in this game. So, because you're mainly using your hand or controllers, and there's no reason to do anything else. So, yeah.
Yeah, so I'm gonna have to see how it works. Works seated because I generally prefer to play that way, but uh I'm happy. I'm happy that that's an option. Now it might feel a little weird because I did find myself turning, maybe 45 degrees because you do have to stand sideways on your board, and the thing tends to square you up in between runs, so you have to turn a little more and turn a little more. um but yeah, I think it was pretty cool, and I think that the game would absolutely work tethered if they do decide to bring it to PC.
Do you think they should have a mode that lets you turn with the board in real time? Like they have that mode in space games that will allow it to flip like it should. Because if you notice, your board's spinning, but you're not spinning. You're still facing forward. Like it would absolutely make the tricks a lot harder to land if you actually spun with the board like you do in real life, right? Because then you're gonna get a little turned around to where you're landing. You might get sick too, but that's why I say give me the option to turn it on, and that'd be cool.
So you're talking about if you do like a 360 or something, you want the entire environment to spin around with you, right?
Yeah, I mean, well, it seems I guess it does. It's not like it's a sim, so it doesn't have to happen that way. But I think that would definitely add difficulty, right?
Oh, for sure, it would add difficulty. Again, another one of those things that they probably made trying to keep people from becoming uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And generally, when it comes to these type of things, we like for them to be optional, right? Because uh, some of us want the intense experiences. Kind of why we are VR gamers to begin with, is we want a more intense gaming experience. So I think I have to agree with you there.
I've seen people in Mash's group. They're asking for like, hey, what's a game that'll try? I can't get sick, from motion sickness. What's a game that will try, that I can try to make me sick? That'd be one of them, or try
Right.
if you would think so.
Gamertag VR in the chat. Roots clearly hasn't seen my incorrect video of card. Well, I have seen it, GT, and that was kind of the reason why I went and cut out this big play space for myself, because I thought that the way you played it was the way it was supposed to be played. But come to find out, yeah, incorrect. GT didn't use any of the controls, Roots. He just, like a ballerina, would spin around in real life to do his tricks.
I gotta watch that, bro. That sounds good, dude. Did it work?
Yeah, it worked for him, bro, for sure.
Yeah. Hey, that works. Hey, it's more immersive, right?
I'm gonna play it in a swivel chair, dude. I'm gonna be nailing 720s and you guys are going to see the best performance ever.
Well, see, that way we're bringing our youth into the, you know what I mean? Like, remember when you were a kid and you would just spin around in circles until you'd get dizzy and stuff? I mean, mix that with VR and that's a good time, or a broken headset slash TV.
Right.
So,
Anyway, I enjoyed this game. Again, neither this game or the Powder VR game on Steam are perfect. They both, have room for improvement, but I feel like Carve Snowboarding is a much more complete and polished experience. I would just like for them to take the training wheels off just a little bit more, so that us hardcore VR junkies can really get our adrenaline fix.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think it was good. I think it's definitely worth $20 if you like snowboarding for sure. I don't see how you don't get this game. But
Yeah.
it's cool.
Yeah, actually, I feel like $20 is kind of on the low end for it. As polished as it is, they probably could have gotten away with putting another $5 or $10 on it.
Yeah.
But so yeah, 20 is certainly fair for it.
Yep, absolutely.
All right, moving along, that brings us to our next game. Nobody can say that this next game isn't fair price. This is Stones of Harlath. This game coming to us from Garage Collective. This game again, like Carve Snowboarding, is an Oculus Quest exclusive title. This one hit the store for just $10, Roots. And we've known about this game for a while. Garage Collective, admittedly, a friend of the channel. We became acquainted during the press cycle for their previous game, uh, Theta Legion VR, and again, I lost my train of thought here. Anyway, the point being, when it comes to these type of games, uh, they're almost always enjoyable. And when I say this type of games, I'm talking about these games that play on retro nostalgia, the games that throw us back to our childhood, the games that remind us of the games that we were playing when we first fell in love with video gaming. But it always begs the question, Roots. Whenever you get in and play a game like this that really tugs on that nostalgia, uh, again, we almost always enjoy it, but it makes you wonder how much of the enjoyment is novelty and how much of it is actual fun gameplay. And I did thoroughly enjoy my time in this game, but I was constantly wondering, you know, how someone 10 years, 15 years younger would take this game.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I got some weird noises going outside of my door. That's not you, Alien Kara, is it? But no, no, I agree. I mean, it's definitely got a lot of nostalgia. One of the things that until I got to the action packed, it seemed I was just going through the environments, enjoying them, but a little bit slow. But once the action started, I there was a point where I decided, Wes, I'm just gonna run through here, and it was a big mistake because
No, you're not.
I was not. There was so much action, so many things attacking me, things jumping in my face, and so definitely very action packed. But I think you got a valid point. What do you think? Do you think that would affect somebody that was younger on a younger level? Because I haven't talked to anybody that doesn't have, like my son. He's in his 20s and he played Zelda and stuff. He would probably enjoy the nostalgia of it too. But I guess it depends on what you've played, right?
Yeah, so uh, I think that when it comes to a younger gamer, someone who doesn't have that retro attachment, nostalgia attachment to these types of games, um, I think what you're saying here is true. It does start a little slow, and I don't think that they would see it through uh, to where the game really gets good. And, what I'm going to say about this game is largely what I said about the Star Wars pinball game. I went into this expecting it to be more of a nostalgia trip than actual fun gameplay. But by the time I got into the meat of the game, I found that I was having a lot more fun playing it um, than I expected. And really, you got to get into the dungeons, man. The overworld is all about learning how to play the game and learning what the story is. Uh, Trying to figure out what you're supposed to be doing. That's the overworld. When you get into the dungeons, it's very different. Like Ruuts said, that the gameplay is much more action packed. It can get intense at times because there are so many enemies, and that was one of the things I really enjoyed about this game. Ruuts is it works like what you would imagine the old RPGs being like if you could be in them, right? These old, Zelda Dragon Warrior style games, you get swarmed by even like the smallest thing, bats and rats and spiders and things like that. Before you know it, if you move too fast, you're going to have 5 of those things on you, and it's going to be pretty impossible to deal with. So, yeah, at first, I was digging it based on the look of the game, based on the retro nostalgia feelings I had toward the genre and the aesthetic. But after you actually start crawling through these dungeons, you realize this game has a lot more to offer than you might have uh, thought at first.
Yeah, yeah. And I think that's what you said is true. They nailed the gameplay of the old school gameplay, right? Making you feel like you got sucked into this RPG game, and now you're going through. Now, some people in the chat were saying, I guess there's two things that Gamertag said they're fixing. They're fixing the book. I don't know if you noticed the book was fused.
Always out.
Yeah, it was fused to
Yeah.
your hand. I was like, how do I get this thing out of my? Oh, I got rid of it by pulling out my shield and my sword. Oh no, it's back whenever I have my magic out. Um, so they're supposed to get that to where that's not going to be the case, and then I guess they're going to add smooth turning for that as well. And so those are the two biggest gripes I had, which we
Yeah.
always have, the smooth turning. Now, somebody said something in the chat as well that was really intriguing because I kind of thought it was the same thing. I think it was Lipnox said that they had trouble near the end with the drawing the spells, and it's when you're moving, bro. Like if you're
Yeah.
having to be on the move and you're trying to draw a triangle or what a circle or whatever you're trying to draw, you're not getting that. It's dragging it, and it's not. You're not. You have to stop to draw it, and then stuff's coming at you. Wes. They're still.
Right.
They don't stop. They're still attacking you, and it gets kind of dicey. So I don't know how they can fix that, or if that's just maybe that's just part of the mechanics, and it's
You
not going
you
to
you
get
have
fixed.
to you have to adapt your gameplay style to that. I don't know if that's something that they're going to be able to fix. Generally, what I had to do to deal with that is if I'm in full on retreat mode, I just switch over to sword and shield and just shield up
Mm,
so that I don't take damage. And then when I get a little bit of space, it don't take long. As long as you can get, a second to a second and a half of time that you don't have to be running, you can draw your rune. And once you put your spell on, you can start running again.
right.
So generally, if I'm in retreat mode, I would just shield up with my shield, and then as soon as I got a little bit of space, I would I would choose my spell then. It, uh, Other than that, sometimes the environment created a good choke point. If I'm retreating, I could kind of draw the enemies into a bottleneck, and then I could just take them out easily, single file with my sword.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what, man. Just even watching the gameplay on here, I mean, the way that things explode, and I mean, it just looks so good, especially in the headset, right? And it's just like the old school games. You have limited amount of magic. You have, so you can't just run and just only use your magic, right? You have to go back and forth. I'm assuming you build it as you go more and more. Um, but yeah, it's just I think they really nailed it, and especially for $10. I know this is an early access game, right? They're still adding to it, I believe, or is this as it is? I thought I read that, but Maybe not.
Well, I mean, this is an Oculus exclusive, so it's not like a technical early access thing, but I'm sure that he's going to continue to improve it over time. That certainly was the case with Theta Legion, so I got to imagine it'll be the case here as well. Um, yeah, I think that, and you talk about how great it looks in the headset, and I certainly would agree with that. But I think we do need to make a distinction here between the characters and the environments. I mean, the characters look good; they look fine. Um, you know, a bit pixely, but obviously it's pixel art, so that's to be expected. The characters, to me, looked a bit more jagged, not as smooth, not as detailed as the environments, and the environments were stunning. Like, I was legit surprised at some of the things he was able to do. Being that this is pixel art, I mean, it's not supposed to be the most detailed thing, but some of like the fog effects and lighting and stuff in this, I was not expecting it to be as good looking as it was. So, like, uh, the characters, I would say, are okay. They're serviceable. They certainly they do their job, but really visually, where this thing shines is in the environments, the dungeons, even like inside the houses and things. Um, Really, really above average, very good looking environments in this game.
Yeah, no, the people look like they were taken out of like I don't know, like one of those old school video games where they did like they're not even moving barely. They're just kind of moving a little bit, right? Um,
Right.
but but it's almost like it's intentional because I'm sure could put better characters. Everything else looks so good. But I was talking more like just the animations of things exploding and the
Oh yeah.
spells and just everything looks really good. It just is I mean let's put it this way, for $10, I can't imagine a
Yeah.
better deal than what you're getting for $10, right? But even that aside, it's just a really good game.
Yeah, this game definitely underpriced at $10, in my opinion. He could have easily did 15 on it. 20 is probably stretching a little bit. It isn't the longest game, but the quality's there. And I think we do need to recognize too the very, very good audio work in this game.
Mm,
Like, when you're talking about trying to immerse yourself in pixel art, sometimes it can be a bit challenging based on art alone. But again, as good as the environments look, uh, the audio work really sets it off. And it's not just that the environment art is as good as it is. The locations, like the dungeons and the other locations, I don't know how much you explored the island, but there's some really cool locations, buildings on the island that just super creative. The places that you can visit in this thing, and and audio is a big part of that. When you go into the crypt, you hear spooky things that make you uneasy, right? When you go into the cave, you hear water droplets and things that you would expect to hear in a cave, squeaks and things. um so as good as the environmental art is in this game, the audio was just as good, if not better, and that's what made this game so immersive and a joy to run through.
yeah, especially at night, just being outside, you can hear all the bugs and stuff. It really does. It's a very immersive. So I would say in that respect as well. Traveling Man says he's still in the third dungeon.
Yeah, well, I mean, they ramp up in difficulty quick. The first two, well, they kind of, I don't know if they, I want to say they kind of tell you that the first two are really more for training, and then the third one's where it starts to get tough. But I don't know if they came out with that or if that's something that was just privy to us as content creators. But yeah, the first two are significantly easier than the third one, and not that they're easy, right? I mean, once you get into to groups of enemies, you better be good with your magic, or else you're going to be falling back on power ups more than you want.
Yeah, absolutely.
What did you think about the power-ups, by the way? There's different types of weapons and shields that all kind of have their own different properties that I felt was a cool twist on the gameplay.
Well, it definitely gives you reason to want to go back in, even, you know what I mean, and try to unlock different or find different stuff, right? So
Yeah, yeah, that was really again something that I wasn't expecting much. I expected the magic to be the variability in the combat. I wasn't really expecting fire swords and life shields, and I think one of the things was like a warhammer. I mean, there's a lot of stuff you can find if you explore.
yeah, it,
Um,
this looks cool, right? All that fog and stuff.
yeah, I was really really impressed with the fog effects in all of the dungeons. I mean, it really it added a different layer to it, right? The three-dimensional depth was really added to by the fog effects.
Yeah, I think
Not only that,
somebody younger
uh,
would like this. If they go far enough in, for sure.
yeah, I think it's weird because like I think that obviously people our age are going to love it based on the retro nostalgia of it. I feel like maybe the early 20s crowd will probably tune out of the game before it gets good. But I think if you go younger than that, like kids, I think kids are going to really dig this game. Like my sons, my youngest one especially, is really going to enjoy playing this. Although he might get a bit frustrated at the difficulty again once you get into some of the latter dungeons.
Yeah, kids get frustrated at that age, right? Uh,
Yeah, no patience.
yeah.
Yeah, like I spent half the day hearing him complain about a Hat in Time on Nintendo Switch. So frustrated with it because it's a platformer. Platformers are frustrating at times, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, if I could see myself as a kid, I'd probably cringe.
Right. But anyway, uh, I was going to go. Oh, exploring the island. You encounter various different creatures in the different woods and different parts of the island. Did you come across any of those wolves?
I don't think so. I don't remember any wolves.
Dude, talk about sound effects, like immersive sound effects. I think that this guy must have went to like the dog fights or something and recorded dogs fighting because that's exactly what it sounds like. Just, you know, a dog growling to the point where you think it's going to kill you, like it wants to kill you. It's very jarring, especially if one sneaks up on you. You don't know that they're there, and then all of a sudden you hear this.
Did,
It'll make you jump a little bit.
did it attack you?
Yeah, yeah. Well, I
Oh,
mean, there's they run in these packs. Not always, but sometimes they'll run in these packs, and you'll have like this master wolf that has like magical properties, and he will sick the pack on you. So you kind of have to fight. But you're going to continue to fight until you kill that master because well, first of all, he's a lot bigger, but he won't stop. Like he'll keep sending them after you until you get to him.
that's not nice. It's rude.
It is rude. Lipnox VR, I had to reduce the sound effects. They were too sharp sounding. I mean, certainly jarring in this scenario. But I didn't adjust them at all. I kind of kept them the way that they were.
Yeah.
Anyway, $10, right? $10. Another good example of a game that you can only play on Oculus Quest. And I always found that strange because I feel like these games have more reach than that. But again, if you're going to pick one, why wouldn't you pick the one that everybody has, right?
Yeah, well, especially if Oculus is making it lucrative for you to only, I mean, I can't imagine why you would not release on another system unless somebody's paying you not to. You know what I mean? Like that's just the way it is. So,
Well, for what it's worth, I think the Theta Legion come out on Rift, not Quest, or maybe it did come out to Quest later. Uh, but it started out as a like an earlier like a Go game or maybe a Gear VR game, and then it went to Rift, and that's for the most part the version that everyone knows is the Rift version. So I think I think if there were some real incentive for him to publish there, he's certainly capable of doing
Yeah.
it.
Well, I think it would do well.
Lipnox VR, this game could be $20, and I would still say it's worth having. Yeah, it's very good, especially if you're these people who are impressed with these app lab games that fall in this genre. This game is, I haven't played them all, but this game is better than those. It's more polished, it's more complete, and it's funner to play. I mean, there's more you can do with it between the sword and shield combat and all of the different magic and modifiers that you can find. There's a lot more to this game. So yeah, I wouldn't I would say so. Yeah, it could definitely probably demand $20. That's why I'm so surprised that it's 10. I think 15 would have been a sweet spot for this game. I think just as many people would buy it at $15, and that would be 50% more profit for the studio.
Yeah.
So definitely a steal at $10.
Yeah, at 10 it becomes a no-brainer though. You know what I mean? Like if it's a price something that you think, man, this is worth 15 bucks, but it's only 10, it just like it's going to get people that are there is no fence on this game. If you like this type of game at all, that's 10 bucks. I mean, I think they
Yeah.
sell a lot of copies. Hell, I want to buy people copies. It's so cheap, you know.
Yeah,
So,
it's one of those things. The only challenge for a game like this is getting it out there and letting people know that it's there. I think that once people discover it, yeah, you're right. It's kind of a must-have at $10. I mean, how do you not buy it,
yeah, I could not stop myself. That's 10 bucks.
right? Onakazi in the chat says yes. Theta Legion was Go and Gear VR, so there you have it. And that's really amazing story. The way that he kept updating it, and it really uh, playing Theta Legion VR on Oculus Rift, you wouldn't know that that was at one time a 3DOV VR game. Like it feels like a legit 6DOV VR game, and some of the better looking. Again, I was a lot of things we're saying about this applies to Theta Legion. The environments really made Theta Legion, and I feel like the environments really make this game as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Definitely amazing.
Lipnox VR, the fireball effect is so much fun. Yeah, it's fun to throw the fireballs. They have really good range. Like you can nail enemies with fireballs from way back. But what I really enjoyed was the secondary fire attack, the one that covers an area. It was just so much fun to blow up a group of small enemies and melt them quickly. And then what Ruuts was saying about the animations and stuff, really cool when you see blood and bones flying everywhere after you blow them up.
Yeah, yeah, super cool.
Lipnox VR, $15. I consider it. $10. I just take it. Yeah, that's to Roots's point. It's kind of a no brainer at $10.
And usually most developers go the opposite way. They'll overprice it or they'll price it to make as much, but they don't think about that. Like, okay, let's make sure that when people consider buying this, that they just there's no real decision. Because sometimes it's a little bit too high, and you're like, I would have picked it up if it was a little lower type of thing. So
Yeah, when you think about other $10 titles on the Oculus Quest, none of them are quite on the level of this game. I mean, they are polish wise, but content wise, I mean, well, take a title like Freediver. Freediver is it's a lot of fun. It's a beautiful game. It's very unique and immersive. But it's an hour long. And if I'm not mistaken, isn't Freediver $15? It's like 12 or $15, isn't it?
I think it was 15 when it came out. I
Yeah.
thought, yeah,
Yeah. And then you have a title like Curious Tale of the Stolen Pets. Again, very polished, beautiful game, some nice storytelling bits in it. But look at the scale of it. I mean, there's a few different levels. Everything you can see is right in front of your face. It's all miniaturized. Certainly a lot of novelty in that and an enjoyable time. But name another adventure routes for $10 that you can go on like this.
I can't. Not for the Quest, for sure. Maybe Carnage Chronicles on the PC when it's on sale. That's
That
it.
Carnage Chronicles never goes on sale for $10. Like
Yeah.
it's a $30 game. It goes on sale for like 22,
Yeah, that's
and
true.
it's worth it. Like Carnage Chronicles is great.
Yeah, that's true.
Um,
But yeah, no, this is an
oh,
amazing game for especially for $10.
yeah, yeah. I think that's kind of the story here with this one is the price. Like it's so uh generously priced. I kind of feel like it's hard not to recommend it.
Yeah, absolutely.
But again, uh, uh, I had some criticisms of it. You kind of took the wind out of my sails there by bringing it up right at the very front there. The book staying in your hand was rather immersion breaking. The fact that your grimoire is always out if you're in the magic mode. Um,
It would make sense
uh,
if that was like a book, because I thought, okay, am I open to the magic spell page or something? Like if that's what I was looking at, if it was the spell that I'm casting or something, or it, you know what I mean, then that would make sense. That's what you have out because you're doing your magic. But it just if you didn't, it just was in your hand, dude, and you weren't even if you weren't doing magic. It's weird.
yeah, it was just kind of funny, like a funny idea to me. Like I'm this, I'm this powerful mage, right? Like I know all these spells and I'm a master of my reality. I'm gonna get you as soon as I look up
My spells.
how to do my magic. Hold on, bro. I'm gonna get you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I found it kind of weird in that aspect. And yeah, obviously the click turning. I don't understand how games launch that don't have smooth turning anymore. I don't get it, man. It's like every game launches with just click turning and they wait for people to complain about it before they implement smooth turning. I, for the life of me, do not understand
It,
that.
it
So,
should be on the list of things that we have to have in our game to avoid people bitching, right? Because it's going to be, and people will leave a bad review. You don't want to get a bad review because you didn't have a smooth turn on. And this is a perfect example. And I think it was this trailer because I was noticing when I was pulling trailers, like the very first thing in this thing that I pulled was the person pulling up the settings and turning off the vignette. Very first thing. And it went to what we were talking about. Why is that the standard? Like it has to be on there. People will know if it's going to make them sick. They're aware that they get sick. Leave it off. Let them turn it on. I think there's more people out there that don't get sick than they think. You know what I mean?
right.
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't get it. And it's funny too because a lot of people will nope out watching a review. If they watch a review and it says a smooth turn is coming and it's not there, they'll just say that's it. I'm not playing it. I hate click turning. I'm not going to buy it. Now I'm not one of these people, and you're a lot less likely to run into those types of people on Oculus Quest uh, as opposed to like PC VR. It'd be a deal breaker for a lot more people on PC, but still, there's a lot of people that have both, and that's a deal breaker for them. So, here we are. It's 2021. We're in the second, you know, arguably the third generation of VR now, and the fact that we still have games that aren't figuring this out before they launch is kind of mind blowing to me. So again, it's a bit of a nitpick, especially now they've uh, that they've already said that they're going to be patching it out with the next update. I just that you know that's a larger topic that goes beyond this game for me. I don't understand it. Why we have games in 2021 that launch with only click turning? It's just I don't get it, man.
There's many things like that. And maybe we'll have a discussion about that on one of these times for a money show. Cause that's just the controllers, dude. Like, you know what I mean? I know there's not everybody doesn't have access to every headset, but getting game testers or somehow figuring a way to have every big headset like that. It blows me away when Index is still, how long has Index been out? And games come out and there's no Index support for the controllers.
Right.
And it's like it's weird to me, but they'll say we got HTC Vive, like who's using the Vive anymore? Very few people compared to the Index. I say I would use them all, but it's weird. So.
Yeah, yeah, I get what you're saying there, especially when it pertains to the Index, when people are releasing their games on Steam, but not, not
on
supporting the Valve
on
controllers. It's a little weird.
Valve's platform, bro. You'd think Valve would be like, you're not releasing on my platform unless you're having it set for my controller. It's weird.
Traveling man, anybody who plays daily mostly don't get sick. Exactly. Most anybody who's going to buy a game like this isn't going to get sick from playing it.
Yeah, yeah.
Lipnox VR, when does the nitpick become a stop buying the game issue though? Well, I mean, that's a person to person. I personally, it's not a deal breaker for me. Like, even if it never came, I can deal with click turning if I have to, but it's very annoying.
Can you deal with
I don't,
smooth turn?
that's worse to me. Have a slow, smooth turn. And, well, that's one of the things we're going to be talking about with the next game is the speed of the turning in Guardians was something that's noteworthy, but we'll get to that in a minute. Gamertag VR, I wouldn't say going into a game without a sickness protection is a bad idea, but a simple anti-sickness or full immersion at the start of the game is the way forward. Yeah, no, don't misunderstand this. Comfort options are necessary and need to be implemented in all of these games because there are a lot of different types of people, all with varying sensitivity to these games. Our whole thing is it doesn't need to be uh, fully nerfed by default. Like, we could do it like GT saying here and have an option right at the front for an immersive preset or a motion sickness, a comfort preset, or we could just have some middle ground as default, right? Which I feel like would be you know the logical thing to do.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. And just don't have it. Just don't have it by to where everything is. I got to go in and I've got to turn everything off. Essentially everybody that's been around for a while that doesn't get sick is just having to do a bunch of extra work. I think the best thing is what you said, and I've seen that actually implemented a lot lately in games where you get in there and it's okay. Are you right-handed? Do you want full immersion or do you want to do you get sick or whatever? Let you choose right off the bat, and then you're there. You're good to go. So
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I think that's a good solution, and yeah, it's just it's annoying that to have it all jacked by default and to have to go into the settings first thing every time when you're not even on a PC. Like, on PC, we always go to settings initially anyway for graphics settings. But when you're talking about a standalone game, I mean, what kind of graphics settings are you going to get really? Not very much. So it kind of sucks to always have to go into the settings and toggle things instead of being able to just put on the thing and play it.
yeah, absolutely.
Jason Westmus, I wish these types of games would use the fading option on the particle effects so that the hard clipping line wouldn't be so obvious everywhere. Well, that sounds like some technical stuff that I would have no idea how to respond to it.
Yeah, I don't either, but it sounds good in theory. Let's get working on
Mm,
it.
yeah, it sounds perfect, man. I'm all for it. What he said.
Yeah.
Lip Knox, I'd rather smooth turn, but traveling man, exactly that. I can turn in my play space. Well, I play seated, bro. And I do have a swivel chair, but that doesn't mean that I want to be spinning around all the time either. I'd rather use my stick, bro.
Yeah.
But that's just me.
I I'll tell you what, Wes, like when I play Risk of Rain 2, I use both. You know, there's a case to be made about whipping around in your play space and turning as you're going. I think you get the best of both worlds.
I think Gamertag has a good point here. He says, what will happen one day is a system universal choice, like PS5 and inverted controls. The system tells the game, all the games your preference is full immersion. So, what he's talking about here on PlayStation 5, you can go into your system settings. And for example, let's talk about graphics settings. There's generally two different game modes in the PS5 games. There's a performance mode, which lets you play at high frame rates, or there's a cinematic mode, which holds it back to 60 frames per second, but turns the resolution detail way up. And you know what kind of game you're playing or what kind of gamer you are will dictate which one you prefer. What do you prefer, higher frame rates, or do you prefer prettier graphics? But with the way the PS5 works, you set that in your system settings on the PS5, and then when you load one of these games in, it just automatically configures it for you, so you don't have to go in and do it for every game. And what GT's saying here is that that's probably how it's eventually going to end up being, if if things go the way that they should, is you'll just set it in your Quest or in your Oculus software that you prefer the immersive experience, and then the game will get that information from the system and set your settings accordingly.
Just set it and forget it. Be good to go. Right.
Yep, it sounds like the best idea I've heard all day.
Yep.
Dark Angel, 3 years in, and I've had a touch of sickness tonight. Of all places, Horizons. I'm sure there's a joke here somewhere. Yeah, yeah.
Well,
I
I'll tell
think.
you, it was probably frame rate related because that's about the only thing that gets me sick is if the frame rate starts bouncing around doing a lot of weird up and down weird stuff, and you don't. It's not enough to realize it, but it is enough to affect you, and then all of a sudden you just don't feel the best. That especially in something like Horizons where there's nothing going on. You know what I mean? So
Yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, I don't know what's going on in Horizons. I've never really looked into it, and I've never been in there,
it's
obviously. So
amazing, dude. You're missing out, bro.
I bet. I bet. It's like Rec
Missing
Room
out.
without kids, huh?
Well, there was nobody in there when I was in there, so that could be true.
Right. Anyway, let's move along. I think that we've kind of made how we feel about this one known. It's fun. It's a bit slow to start, but at the end of the day, it's a steal for $10 and kind of a must own at that price point.
Yep, absolutely.
So let's talk about Guardians, Roots. This is one that kind of danced around my awareness a little bit. I knew of it. I knew it was out there. It's been around for a little while. I think it may have even been on SideQuest for a little bit. But this one was really kind of took center stage in my attention span over the last couple of weeks. And thanks to our good friend Eric, we got a chance to check this one out. Let me ask you, Roots, before we even get started, when you played this game, did you play it with friends or did you play it alone?
I played it with Mash and Rezal and Nick.
Aha. See, I think that your experience is probably going to be a bit different than mine. I played this game in the single player mode only, and it became obvious to me fairly quickly that I think that this game is meant to be a co-op game.
Why did it get crazy hard?
No, I mean, it was a little hard to begin with. The whole thing about this is, well, I guess let's not get ahead of ourselves. Let's explain to the people what Guardians is. Guardians is this is a tower defense first person shooter from developer Virtual Age. This is available on Oculus Quest for $15. I think there's even a PC version of this, if I'm not mistaken, on Steam.
There is.
With a free demo, right?
I'm not sure on the demo. I know Mash was playing the Steam version earlier today when we played it. So
Right. Okay. So, tower defense FPS, what does that mean? Well, it means that you're you're going to do some very classic tower defense stuff here with the purchasing and placing of various turrets and cannons and other such automatic defenses to help you defend some point on the map. Uh, Generally, um, I mean, it's all pretty standard stuff as far as the tower defense elements go. What sets this game apart is after you set your defenses, now you're in the game with pistols, with shotguns, with rifles, and it works like a standard first person shooter, uh, kind of like a wave shooter. And so that kind of sets it apart from a lot of these types of classic tower defense games. Now, what the game does really well, in my opinion, is the variety of tools and drones and the variety of things that you have in your menu to use to defend your tower was rather impressive. I thought there's a lot of different stuff here for you to pick from.
yeah, there's definitely a lot of things. Now, did you figure out, or did you? I'm assuming you did. You saw the collector thing. What's it called? An infuser or something that you have to
Oh
put
yeah,
next to
the
put it next to
right.
the
So
crystals, right? You did the
right. So
tutorial. I'm assuming I did not. So
yes, of
okay.
course. And that's the first thing I thought of after I did the tutorial for this is like Ruuts is going to struggle big time if he didn't do the tutorial with this.
No, I had my tutorial. It was Mash Daddy saying, place this thing next to the crystal and just
That's better, right? If
yeah.
it's him saying it instead of the game,
Well,
then
a game usually draws it out and they talk about it for 15. I don't know if this one does, but usually most tutorials, that's my biggest gripe is you could tell me what you're telling me in about 5 seconds. It doesn't take 5 minutes to drag it out and walk me through several different rooms to do it. That's why I love games that are, you're learning as you go, right? You almost don't even feel like you're doing a tutorial. You're going through the game and you're playing the game, and then all of a sudden you know how to do it, and it's tricking you into making you do the
like
tutorial. Yeah.
like the Mirrorwind game, Boiling Steel, like that game, the training mode is literally an hour plus on it. Like the first hour of the game, it's teaching you how to play, but it doesn't really feel like a tutorial.
No, absolutely not. But yeah, so the I guess a tutorial. Let me skip this tutorial because it is a little bit slow. But yeah, so that I had him telling me about those about the points and stuff, and then everything else is very I mean, common sense. Now I did like the way that you can teleport to those nodes, and then I don't know if you noticed, you can point the thing up. You can actually jump around straight up in the air. Although
Yeah.
there is a delay on it, but. You know me, I always want to move around, especially after playing Risk of Rain 2 so much. I can't stand still. I got to be jumping. So,
Yeah, they call that the jetpack. So you'll see your trajectory when you hold the button. Although you never really quite follow the trajectory it shows you, but you can kind of pick your angle that you take off from, and you'll get various air depending on the angle of your controller. Um, yeah, I like the teleport system, and it was very useful because the movement's not very fast. Like you don't really run around very quickly, so you kind of have to teleport. Um, because the maps are pretty big, right? Like outside of the first one, like you can traverse some real space in it. It's one of the things that really impressed me about the game was just the size of the play area in some of these maps.
yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I was trying to read what they were saying about I guess it's an app lab. It's on App Lab, they said somebody was saying that it's only $17, well worth it in my opinion. The dev is legit and worth supporting. I don't know if I think we're talking about this game, right?
Yeah, I'm. Well, I can say the Guardians is not 17; it's $15 on the Oculus Store.
Yeah. Well, nothing we're
And it
talking
is an
about.
App
So
Lab game, and I guess that this is a good uh a good time for me to get off on the inevitable tangent when it comes to App Lab. How shitty is the setup for Oculus when you're trying to find an App Lab game? Literally, I mean, when I'm searching for a game on Oculus, I type it into the search bar. I don't hit the search button. I type it into the bar. It drops down the results it has for it, and you pick from the drop down the game that you want to go to. That does not work for App Lab titles. You type it in letter for letter in the search bar. I typed in Guardians, and in the drop down said no games found. You have to hit the search button and have a list come up, an empty list, and then it'll say at the bottom, one App Lab game found. You click on that, then there's a warning that pops up like, hey, bro, this game might not be very good because it's not on our store. Then you got to click through that, and then you finally get to your game. I've never seen a more convoluted and shitty setup. I mean, they're acting like they're doing these devs a favor by letting them on the store, and I guess in a way that they are. But man, I don't think they could have done it worse the way they've integrated this.
How do they sell any games? This is the thing that we were just talking about this today, Mash and I, and Nick, because Mash was saying he was looking up Dead Effect 2, right? That just dropped on App Lab, and it wouldn't come up. He had to put Dead Effect : the 2. If you didn't put the colon in there, which I don't know who's gonna put a colon in there, bro. Like that's like you might as well just say I'm never gonna sell a game. How do you sell it if people can't pull it up in the store? You know what I mean? You have to be very determined. I'm going to find this game. And, it's like that last game that came out a while ago, a couple weeks ago. You had posted in the link in the Discord, and I tried to find it. I literally tried to find it for 5 minutes on the page, and I ended up going back. Said, screw it. I got the link. I went and I got the link, and I think it was for touring carts when it was free. You know what I mean? Like if I'm having that much trouble, then what is somebody that just got VR that has no idea what's going on? They're not going to get the game. I guarantee it. They're not going to get that far. And that's a problem. So
Chatty in the chat says, yeah, hard to find App Lab games directly from Oculus Store. Should be simpler. Yeah, I think it's almost criminal that you can type in the game title letter for letter in the search bar, and it will say to you, no games found. Like if you don't know better, people are going to assume that their game's not on the store. Like if I'm a guy who's looking for Guardians, but I'm not sure is Guardians on the Oculus Store, I go and I type it in and it says no games found. I'm going to assume that it's not there. That it must be a Steam game or something.
what if you pull up just the G and everything? You're going to pull up all sorts of games, right? And you scroll through all those games, and it tells you. And what you're going to think is every game, they just showed me every game that has a G in there, it's not in there. You know what I mean? Like it really is a problem, and it really is shyster, and it makes you wonder what is, it's almost like, yeah, we'll put it on the store, but we're just going to make it to where no one's going to buy it. And it doesn't even business wise, that doesn't make sense for Oculus. So I don't know. Weird.
How can we crush side quests without looking like the bad guy?
Yeah, that's pretty much it.
Yeah. Lipnox VR chat has a feature that allows you to see the community maps by hitting a check mark. Why isn't a simple toggle on the Quest store? I don't know, bro. You tell me. I have no idea.
So did you well, you probably didn't, but did you know that there's a editor mode for Guardians? Now getting back onto the Guardians discussion, to where you can actually create your own maps. And you can share them to whether, I believe you can share them to whether, I know Nick Rezal, I went and did one of his earlier. This actually went to do it first. And whether he wants to believe it or not, you do have too many assets, Nick. You need to get rid of a couple of them, because I did have a little bit of lag. But it was cool, man. It was like it's really cool the way it's set up, and it seems to be pretty easy to where you could make your own maps. And with enough ingenuity, you could actually be pretty good.
Yeah, I could definitely see that. I did not know that, but everything in here, I mean, seems to be pretty straightforward. I don't know if this is a Unity game, but it certainly seemed like there's a lot of assets, familiar assets in this. So I wouldn't be surprised that if there was a very um, basic, map builder in it, and it probably works pretty well. I would imagine it's not, they didn't reinvent the wheel with this one. Um, I don't know. It's difficult for me to judge this because it isn't my favorite genre of game. These defense games, and it is a bit. I don't want to get mean about it. I did have fun playing it. It is a bit generic. But with that said, I didn't play with friends. I feel like this game would have been a lot more fun had I had Ruuts and Eric in there with me.
Yeah, yeah, especially if you had some custom built maps or just chaotic scenes. I guess that scales up with people as well. So I just thought, as far as I know, this is the only game that they can has a editor for Quest or Quest 2. At least that's what somebody was telling me, but I don't know if that's true or not. But I know, like, even Pavlov Shack doesn't have the editor, which the PC VR version does. So,
Right. Yeah, there's certainly a cool feature. And I will say this, I was impressed with a lot about this game on Oculus Quest. Now, did you play the Oculus Quest version or the PC
no,
version?
I played the Quest version. Mash was on the Steam version.
A lot of really cool 3D effects in it. I really enjoyed the whenever you pick your mission, this little 3D map pops up in front of you and they explain to you kind of the story behind what you're doing. I always thought that was really cool. And beyond that, like the art behind the different planets and environments, I thought was really good. Um, I feel like you know, I feel like this game is almost good enough to be on the main store. Like it seems like uh very polished for what it is, more polished than I expected. But still, I mean, there was a couple of things that going on in this game that you wouldn't see in an official Oculus store release. But that said, it wasn't anything that really affected the gameplay. It was all just UI stuff, a little bit of weirdness with the UI and the way it works. Um, and really, I think that uh, really leads into my biggest complaint about the game. Uh, is you kind of would have to be someone who plays this game a lot to just be decent at it. Uh, Generally, you have ample time before the match starts to set up things the way you want. You can hit the button to start the match after you're ready. But the time that they give you in between waves, uh, from my experience, was not nearly enough time to make any kind of educated decision on what you should do. Generally, you have time to do one, maybe two things, and then the enemies are coming again, and you have to put all that down and start shooting again. I would have enjoyed more time in between the waves, or at least have like a difficulty slider for beginners to get more time until we can learn really how to fly through the menus and stuff and do exactly what we want, because I didn't feel like I had 10% of the time that I really would need to effectively prepare for the next wave.
Well, it's funny you say that because both Mash and or Nick were both saying that they feel like the time, it says it's 30 seconds, but they were like, man, that does not feel like 30 seconds. So they've played a lot more than either of us, and they were both commenting about how quickly the waves are coming. So maybe that's something that can be worked on. I definitely would like to see options as far as more time for like newbies, or even maybe there is a newer, maybe the newer lower levels would do that for you. I don't know if you want play it on the normal level or the easy level or what, but definitely would be a good option to have for sure.
Yeah, and that was really my biggest, or really my only big complaint about it. Beyond that, I was fairly impressed. I had low expectations for this one, it coming from side quests, and a lot of side quest games being very unpolished and unfinished. This was a lot closer to a finished product than I expected it to be. Now, again, a lot of the assets kind of generic, or at least they seem that way to me. But the overall polish was pretty good with it. Again, I don't think that they would have to do a lot to this game to have it be good enough to sell on the Oculus Store proper.
I believe it's an early access. I believe that they're working on this game still. So we'll see.
Yeah, the game UI, like the main menu and stuff, was really cool. It seemed like it was from a much bigger release to me. Like if you were judging just from like the UI where you're choosing your missions and the things showing you and explaining the story to you, if you were just judging by that, you would think that this was a full-fledged big budget VR game. Um, but you quickly figure out once you get into it, or even when you're in the training mode, that this is more of an indie game than that highly polished main user interface would lead you to believe.
Yeah, Lipnock says it says early access on Steam, so I'm pretty sure that's what I had heard as well. So it
I'd be
sounds.
interested. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I was gonna say it sounds like a game we need to revisit down the road, and play some multiplayer. Give our
It's
impressions
funny
on that.
that you say that. It's funny is that you say that because I was going to mention to you in private, off air, a concept for a segment on this show that we've talked about before. I feel like it's actually uh, probably a pretty good time that we start thinking about doing something like this. I think we need a segment where we revisit some of these games that we've covered before. Because oftentimes it is stuff like this. It's early access, and it's not stuff improves over time, and that would be interesting to revisit some games and see if they became what we thought they might.
Yeah, and actually, this would be something for you guys in the Discord. Hit us up, let us know, or even in the chat in the comments below. What is a game you would like us to revisit? Something that maybe we didn't like that you think's gotten better, and we need to talk about it again. And maybe we'll pick your game. So
Yeah, I can think of a bunch of games I'd like to go back into, games from our early days, doing this back before we knew what we were doing so much, and games, even in some cases, games that we like that uh, today's audience might not be aware of. You know what I mean? Like there's a lot of VR's very best games came during the early years of Gen 1 VR, and people who just bought their headset last Christmas don't know about these games. So I feel like there's a lot of value in revisiting some of this stuff.
absolutely. Yeah, this is on Steam. It says it's been on since February. I guess I don't know.
Um, I'd be interested to know if the Steam version looks identical to the Quest version, or if there's more texture resolution and things like that to make it seem like more of a PC VR game.
Well, you're definitely going to have less. I mean, it's going to flow better, or at least than it was for on Nick's one that he did, because like I said, he had a lot of extra assets in there, so it was kind of but you wouldn't notice it if you're not on the Quest, I would imagine. So I'm not sure.
So when you know
So
it, I say the word PCVR, and Drillo joining us in chat says, "Cheers, boys! What's up, Drillo?
what's up?
How's it going, buddy?" Yeah, Space Dennison. I wonder how much better it looks, if any at all. That's what I'm wondering here, because it didn't look bad. Um, you could tell a difference in certain things. Like if you look at the ground, very low res textures on the ground. But if you look at like the mountains and stuff around you, they look pretty good, almost like Crashland style good. Like, so it was kind of weird the way they were mixed and matched. Like some things look great and other things not so much.
Yeah. And
Uh,
Libnox is going to check them both out. He says he's got both versions. So
Onakaze says Wilson's Heart, for instance. He's talking about some of the better games from early Gen 1 VR that people today don't know about. Yeah, man. I'd love to just have another reason to play through that game again. That was so good. And I mean, the list of actors, the cast list on that is just incredible. I don't think we, even to this day, have another game with such a star-studded list of voice talent on it. It's really impressive, even today.
yeah.
Okay, so I think we should probably wrap it up here. I think not a whole lot more I have to say about it. I didn't spend a whole lot of time in it. I just played it for a little bit to get a kind of a feel for what it was. It was pretty fun. It was close, but again, I could see a lot of area for improvement in it. But I have no beef with the game at $15. I think that that it's certainly worth that, and especially I feel like if you're going to play with friends, assuming that the multiplayer systems all work the way that they're supposed to. I guess that's something you could speak on, Ruuts. Did was it easy to hook up with friends, and did like the in-game chat and stuff work?
Oh yeah, everything was easy. Basically created a group and then I just joined it. Although we did have some random guy in there that was with us at the end, and we are like, "Oh hey, we didn't even know you were there," and and we could hear everybody. Everybody was good. Mash says it was definitely cleaner on the PC VR. The visuals are smoother and no lag on PC VR at all, no matter how many enemies were on the screen, which makes sense. I mean, if you can be running Risk of Rain 2 on, the 20th or 30th level and not have lag, you're going to be good on a PC VR, but there's no way a Quest could handle it for sure.
Let me ask you this: each time you start one of these, they give you two robot drones to help you fight, or maybe they don't when it's co-op. Did you get the robot drones?
No, you had everything, you spawned everything in. We started you with $1,500. And then you put down the crystal collectors or whatever, and then obviously you bought stuff. I don't know. I was a rookie. I didn't know what the hell was going on. Mash and Nick were throwing stuff all over the place and explaining everything, and there was drones everywhere and chaos. So
Yeah, when you play it single player, they start you off with two like robots,
mm,
like androids to help you fight. And they're stupid. Like they're idiots. You can control them. You tell them to patrol an area or guard an area or follow you or attack an enemy, and they'll do exactly what you tell them. The problem is that they are not defensively inclined at all. So they'll stand where you tell them to stand, and when the enemies come, they'll shoot the enemies. But when the enemies fire a very slow projectile at them, they will just stand right there and let it hit them. So very rare was it that I had these robots actually survive the second wave. By the time the second wave was over, they were almost always destroyed, and that's with me repairing them in between waves.
mm,
So I could certainly the AI for those robot drones could use a lot of work.
yeah. Well, there you go. There's another tip from Wes. I would love to see that as well. It did say, I mean, I guess it's this type of game, right? Where you're kind of telling them where to go and what to do, and then they do what you told them to do, and nothing more. But they should definitely be more defensive, you would think.
But yeah, if they could step to the side just a foot and let something whiz by them, you'd think that they would be smart enough to do that, like
Uh,
not just be a stationary target.
Eddie C wants to know if it's crossplay, and it absolutely is because Mash and I were playing it together earlier today.
There you go. Anyway, I had fun with it. It is a work in progress, and I feel like it's fairly priced right now at $15. So if this is your type of game, if tower defense FPS is your jam, check it out.
Yeah, absolutely. $15 is worth it. And Mash says robots sucked. Save the money for the giant mechs. The giant mechs were pretty cool. I don't know if you used
I
those or
kept
not.
well, I mean, I spawned a tank once, and the tanks, it was kind of weird. Like when it moved freely, it was pretty effective. But a lot of times I had trouble. It couldn't even like it would just its tracks would spin, but it wouldn't move.
Hmm.
So ended up getting killed pretty quickly. Um, I generally like to use the anti-aircraft turrets that shoots enemies out of the air. Those work fairly well. Although I did find it difficult, no matter what it was I picked, whether it be a cannon or a anti-aircraft turret. You rotate your controller to set the angle where it points, but it always seemed like it would want to point in the wrong direction. Even if I rotated my hand fully on around where it should point where it needs to go, it would only go so far and then it would start turning back the other way. So I would like literally have to change the position of my character in game just to get the thing to turn around and face the way it was supposed to go. So again, just one more thing to eat away your imaginary 30 seconds that you supposedly have. You know what I mean? Just some jank overall, which made it very difficult to prepare properly. And again, that was my big complaint with the game was uh, how quickly the next wave comes. You don't have time, especially me as someone who's a first time player. I could do one, maybe two things, and now it's time to fight. So,
Yeah. Well, hopefully they'll work on that because I did have the same issue with trying to place things, turning it and stuff. So,
yeah, and I mean, you know, if you're trying to repair the stuff that you've already put out, I mean, good luck trying to put anything new out, right?
mm, yeah, yeah, for sure.
Anyway, I think that wraps it up there. I want to go ahead before we get in the game of the month. Where are my manners? I want to thank Chuhai Labs for providing us with review access to Carve Snowboarding. I want to thank Garage Collective for giving us access to Stones of Harlath. And of course, I want to thank Virtual Age for providing our friend Eric with a couple of keys for us. Thanks, Eric, and thanks, Virtual Age. Thanks to all the studios from today's games. We didn't have to buy any of this stuff. They were all provided by the developers.
Yeah, really cool.
All right. So that brings us to game of the month. Everybody's favorite episode, Ruuts, game of the month. Because ever so often, and it seems to be more often these days, we have a bit of a debate on our hands. A lot of the time, we don't know which games to pick. And I feel like for at least 2 out of the 3 platforms this month, that this is going to be the case. We're going to be leaning on the chat a little bit today to kind of decide where we're going to go with these.
Yeah, especially this first one because 2 of the games I haven't really tried, and I don't own a PlayStation VR, so.
Right. So PSVR, as has been so often the case, especially during this last year, as PSVR winds down and we approach the transition to the next generation VR platform from Sony, releases have been a bit more few and far between. So generally what I will do, unlike the other 2 platforms where I pick and choose what I think are the best games as nominees, with PSVR, I just list everything that came out. And that was a grand total of 3 games this month. And the first game, fairly high profile, Solaris Off-World Combat came to us on the 18th of May. This game from First Contact Entertainment, a very well-known PSVR developer as they are the team behind Firewall Zero Hour. I know a lot of people, myself included, really have kind of been waiting on this game to come to PSVR. Now, this game's been out on Oculus for quite some time, but First Contact being the aim controller aficionados that they are, A lot of us were waiting for this game to come to PSVR so we could play it with aim controller. Now, with that said, I still haven't played it. Like, I've been so busy playing other stuff, and we've been kind of been waiting on quest keys for this one, honestly. And I wanted to wait until I had both versions so I could compare them, and we still don't have the quest version. So I've just kind of been waiting off on it. But I have noticed what people are saying about this game, and as predicted, Ruuts, this game a little bit more warmly recepted on the PlayStation side of things than it was on Oculus Quest.
Is it cutting into the player pool of the other game, or do you
I'd be
know?
interested to know that. I highly doubt it.
Okay. Yeah, me too. But yeah, I mean, this is definitely a game that we keep talking about, wanting to check out, and hopefully we will soon.
Yeah, PSVR players loving this game. Now, obviously, Alvo came out the month prior, and I feel like Alvo probably cut into the firewall user base a little bit more than even Solaris would, because it's that same military style shooter, even if it's not the same type of gameplay as firewall. I mean, what really is the same type of gameplay in VR? I mean, it's firewall and firewall. That's about it.
Yeah. Well, on firewalls, there's two different types of shooters as far as PvP goes for me. One is like Firewall Zero Hour, where you die and then you're out, and the other you respawn over and over again. I like that mode better because I'm going to die a lot, and I might kill a lot, but I'm going to die a lot. There's nothing more frustrating to me than dying and then watching everybody else still play while I'm waiting to get back into the next round. That sucks. And
Wow. I will say this in defense of firewall on that. There's a couple of points. Generally, I would agree with you. It's frustrating just to have to sit and be a spectator while people play when you want to play. Now with firewall, it's a little different. One, because the action is so slow paced. It's more strategic than like a game like Contractors or something. Um, once your team makes contact with the other team, generally the match is over pretty quickly. But so much of the game is played outside of the firefighting. It's about your movement through the map. It's about the placement of your mines and explosives. It's about finding the laptop. Uh, so generally, you don't have to wait very much in spectator mode. Now, the second thing I'd say about that is the way it's set up. So obviously, you're in these different facilities. When you die, you basically patch into the security cameras, and you move from camera to camera to camera across the map. And generally, when you die, you don't stop playing, but your role changes. You now become surveillance. You're telling your teammates where the other team's at so that they can locate them and take appropriate action. So with this game specifically, this is probably the one exception. I generally agree with your sentiment when it comes to waiting to spawn and just watching the gameplay. But I've been rather engaged with Firewall from that spectator mode. So I don't feel that it's a weakness there specifically.
yeah, well, it just depends on what I don't. I want to be in the action, not telling you guys about the action. Oh, hey, this. But I get what you're saying. I usually what people would tell me is get good. If you're not dead, you won't be. We won't be spectating, bro. But yeah, it's a completely different type of game for sure.
Again, well, because it's not action. It's not all action. Most of the time, it's. I mean, most of the match is not action
Yeah, it's
at all.
strategy. Yeah.
Right, right. So you play actually a pretty big role as a spectator. Generally, that's the difference between the good teams and the bad teams. By the way, the good teams are the ones that communicate well, even after you're down.
That's pretty much in everything, right? You're gonna do better as a team if you communicate well. So
Oh yeah, for sure, sure. Anyway, Solaris, the polar opposite of Firewall. Solaris is all about the action. It's very fast paced. You're constantly running, and unlike these other, contractors, Pavlov style shooters, or even a game like the Space Junkies. It's even different than that because this is the premise of Solaris is that you're in this futuristic esport. Like you're not trying to kill people. That's not the point. You can be the team that kills the other team the most, but that don't mean that you're going to win. There's a very specific set of rules of how to win this game, and it's all about making it to certain areas on the map, and so on and so forth. So a different kind of shooter here, and again, it's much more well received by the PlayStation community. Now, part of that obviously is the fact that, releases have been few and far between for PlayStation. But I think even more so, a factor here is this game is polished at launch, whereas it was kind of an early access thing when it came out on Quest. It wasn't ready to launch when they launched it on Quest. So I feel like the product that the PlayStation community is getting is actually a much more polished and ready for release product. So a big release for PSVR this month, without question.
Yeah, so the devs need to learn, not that these devs, but devs in general. It's better to wait. It's better to wait and put your product out and put it out early. Because when this did come out on Quest, it was rough and it wasn't in the finished. How good could be doing if it wouldn't have had the release it had, right?
Right, right, and that was very much. I mean, you could tell that the developers are aware of this with the way they approached their PSVR launch. They cut the game, with a steep discount for 2 weeks when they launched it to make sure as many people bought this game as possible, right off the top, so that they could have players in their lobby. I think they're confident in the quality of their game, and I think that it's a good game. I think that the reviews have reflected that since it's come out on Sony. But it doesn't matter. It could be the best game in the world. If you don't have players in there, it's not going to be very good. So I think that they knew following their Oculus launch that they were kind of in the hole a little bit, and they took appropriate action to kind of dig out. Now, whether it sticks for a year, time will tell. But right now, people are digging this game and people are playing it.
Yeah. Cool. Well, what's the next
That
one? Yeah.
that brings us to our next PSVR release on the 25th. So exactly a week after Solaris, we got Gadgeteer from Metanaut Labs. Now, this is a game that we're very familiar with. I did not play it on PlayStation, but being a very experienced PlayStation VR gamer, I can tell you there's no reason why this game shouldn't have one-to-one ported into PSVR and been exactly the same experience, even with the move controllers that we've had on the PC and Oculus Quest platform.
Yeah. Yeah. This was actually a really good game. And definitely probably it probably is one of the better games that came out for PlayStation VR for
Yeah,
sure.
yeah, especially this year. I mean, and when you consider it's coming from a small team over there at Metanaut, just a few people working on it, mainly one guy with some help. But the fact that it works as well as it does, and it being a physics-based puzzler with 50 levels, nonetheless, I mean, it's really a technical achievement and something for them to be proud of. And it's an unlikely hit. Most people that play this game, now not everyone's going to buy this game and play it, but the people that do enjoy it, and that's myself included. That's Ruuts. That's I can't think of anyone who played Gadgeteer and said they didn't like it.
Yeah, this is one of the games that blew you away because you were able to like lay down and play it in your bed, right? And just chill. It was a great chill game, right?
Yeah, it was. It's the movement style in this game. It's that grab and pull, where you just kind of pull the world around you, and typically that doesn't work in games like the other games that have tried to use that type of movement were action oriented, so it didn't work. It was really clunky to move around like that. With a game like Gadgeteer, uh, you're moving, you're playing at your own pace, but beyond that, A lot of the times your placement and the angle that you're looking at something is the difference in whether or not you solve the puzzle or not. So to have that kind of precise movement control is really important in this game, and the grab and pull mechanic is kind of perfect for it. It's they couldn't have made a better choice with this regard. This is probably the only game where that statement's true.
Yeah, absolutely. Lipnock says, for the right person, this is the best game ever for him. It looks like a lot of work, and I experienced both because I really enjoy dominoes, setting stuff like up, in real life, just watching them go, So to be able to try to solve these puzzles with a similar type of thing was really cool. It got to the point for me where it just became too much. Because believe it or not, this is actually a lot of thinking involved in this as well, especially when you're looking at a lot of these puzzles and you really don't have much to go. Like you see all this built up, and that's great. And the first several puzzles are like that, but you get to a point where you've got to go from here to across the room, and you can get there however you get there, bro. And so you just have to start thinking, okay, how am I going to do this? It's just, I thought it was really cool, and I definitely think it's a really good game, definitely worth playing and picking up.
Yeah, that's the part of the game that really appealed to me the most was there is no one right answer to how to solve a puzzle. They give you the tools at your disposal. They give you physics in the game that work like real life physics. It's pretty impressive, the physics behind the game here. And then it's largely up to you. Figure it out. And it's that freedom that I really enjoyed about this. You can get as creative as you want. The only limiting factor, of course, being that you have a certain amount of blocks or dominoes or whatever type of tool that you're using. You only get so many. It's not unlimited. So that's really the challenge of the game is doing it in so many moves, so to speak.
Yeah. Yep. Absolutely.
But a lot of fun and certainly a challenging puzzler.
Yeah. Definitely unique. Nothing like it. So.
And then that brings us to our third and final PSVR release of the month, a game called Boxed In from Red Chain Games. This came out a day after Gadgeteer, interestingly, the 26th. $6 game here, Ruuts.
Oh.
So we need to take that into consideration. We also need to consider that this puzzle game can be played with an aim controller, which is certainly, I think, a first. All these years later on PlayStation VR, we're still getting firsts. The pretty much the word on this game, and the thing that sticks out to me the most when I look at it is that it's not garbage. Like it's not trash. That was kind of the quote taken from it from PSVR Without Parole. AJ during his playthroughs said, I expected it to be trash and it's not, or something to that effect. I was surprised that it's not trash. And they kind of ran with it. They used that as like their quote, their accolades quote for promotion is that
Wow.
it's not trash. But no, people have played it. I mean, it's a simple concept. It's a puzzle game where you're matching three in a row to make the boxes disappear before they get to you. Everything works the way it's supposed to. And like most puzzle games, it's addictive. Once you start playing it, you generally tend to want to keep playing it.
It's not
Um,
trash.
it's
So
not trash, exactly.
$6, bro. Well, this is an exclusive, right?
Actually, no, I think that this might be on Steam as well.
Oh wow. If this is on Steam, I might pick it up, dude. $6, dude. Who doesn't want to be boxed in? This looks like
Well, let's
it's a cool, definitely a very cool premise, right? It's a puzzle game. You're working against the clock, and not only are you working against the clock, but you're feeling, especially if you're claustrophobic at all. I can imagine this gets pretty stressful and pretty close to getting near you, right?
Yeah, and I think I'm not 100% sure, but I think it might even have a decent like music with it too.
Yeah. Oh, really? Lipnock
Yeah.
says he thought it was going to suck and told the dev he would only stream it, and he played it and loved it. It was only 30 to 60 minutes and you're done, but it works great with the aim controller. And the colors pop on the PlayStation VR.
$5 on Steam Roots.
Yeah, it's been on there for 3 years, bro.
Yep. 2 reviews in
Mhm.
3 years.
Wow. Well, maybe we're going to get a couple more. We might have to check this out and talk about it on a future episode.
Oh, sure. Why not? I mean, this might even be on Byport. And if not, why isn't it? I
That
mean, people,
absolutely, absolutely. Let me ask you this: being that it's not trash, that does mean that it's also not the game of the month because like if it's not trash, if that's your claim to fame, I know that Gadgeteer specifically, I know is not trash. I've played it. It's way better than trash, and so that would exclude the other game, I would imagine.
yeah, that was kind of the weird thing about Boxed In and their release to me was, I mean, if you're going to release this type of a game, this light puzzle game that's a low priced deal, eh, I mean, I can't think of a worse day to release it than the day after Gadgeteer comes out. Like that's like the one day you would say, don't release this game is the day after Gadgeteer comes out.
Hmm.
That's the day that they released it.
How about the
So
day
I got to
before?
imagine maybe their $6 price tag saved them a little bit here, but I mean, they would have been better off waiting a month, man. Wait a month and let these puzzle guys get their fill of Gadgeteer
Yeah,
before you put your game out.
because there's not like there's a whole ton of games coming out right now, so it's pretty safe to find a spot where you can be the only game this week. Not the only game of the puzzle game, but the only game that got released. You know what I mean?
Right.
Um, yeah, I agree.
Yeah. I mean, like, so this game came out, what? It came out 2 weeks ago. Imagine if it were coming out like a week from now. I mean, nothing happening on PSVR right now. Now, obviously, that's going to change quickly after the fall's getting ready to drop. Sniper Elite's getting ready to drop. Frack's getting ready to drop. It's getting ready to heat up. But none of those are puzzle games, bro. There's a certain audience for these type of games that maybe they're not into blowing zombies' faces off. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah, that's true.
But let's get to the issue at hand here. The fact of the matter that we have a game like Gadgeteer that's top notch quality, that the people that played it absolutely rave about it and love it, versus Solaris, which is a game I got to imagine that a lot more people bought into and played, and they like it, but they might not be quite as passionate about it as the people who love Gadgeteer. So more people digging Solaris versus less people playing Gadgeteer, but the people playing Gadgeteer, I mean, freaking love it, and don't want to quit playing it.
Yeah, no, that would be my vote for the game of the month would be Gadgeteer.
See, now I would tend to go with Solaris.
Mm,
The fact that so many people are playing it and loving it has much more mainstream appeal and is a much higher profile game. Plus, I mean, the shooters are. I'm more about the shooters than the puzzle games personally. So my vote would go to Solaris. So I put it to the chat. Chat. What say you, Solaris or Gadgeteer? What would you pick for PSVR game of the month and why?
I guess it depends too on what your type of game is, and um, you know what I mean. But
Right. Lipnox VR boxed in was super smart. I had a code a month before it came out and they fixed the inputs from reviewers. It didn't have smooth turning at first. Roots, damn it. It didn't have smooth turning at
it's
first,
like why?
but they picked a bad day.
Yeah.
Exactly. These games come out and they don't have smooth turning, and they always add it within a week, which means that they could have added it with a week before, dude. Like they could have do this anytime they want, but they always wait for people to bitch. I don't get it.
What is the point of waiting? What do you get out of waiting?
Maybe they like for people to bitch, man. I don't know. Maybe a negative review it still helps the algorithm, right?
Yeah,
I don't know, man.
absolutely. See,
Lipnox, Gadgeteer seems like the better game. Soren B, Gadgeteer. Okay, well, it looks
but
like people
Limnox did say he hasn't played either of them, so that's my
do
problem.
that.
I've never played Solaris, so
All right. Well, I guess.
you could always do winner with a runner up.
Yeah, I guess that's what we'll do then, man. Because we don't really know, and we haven't yet done Solaris. Again, we're waiting on our quest keys. Roots doesn't have PSVR, so really the plan with Solaris was to I'm going to play it on both. I'm going to play it on PSVR primarily, and then check it out on Quest, and then Roots going to deep dive on the Quest version. Then we were going to kind of meet in the middle and talk about it. But we only have PSVR copies right now, and that's kind of limiting our coverage of this game. And I don't have time just to play games to play 'em, man. We got too many other games to play. We'll play it when we get ready to cover it.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, Gadgeteer, PlayStation VR Game of the Month, May, with a runner-up slash honorable mention for Solaris. Um, and for those of you who don't know what the significance of that is, the reason why we do Game of the Month is because at the end of the year, we're going to be doing Game of the Year. And the nominees for the Game of the Year on each platform are the games of the month throughout the year. So that's why we're doing this. That's why we're picking Game of the Month. It's so that we can revisit these games at the end of the year. Now, the significance of getting a runner up or honorable mention is these games will also be in the Game of the Year conversation. So let's say we play Solaris next month and we find out we made a huge mistake, that it should have been the Game of the Month all along. We were just ignorant when we picked Gadgeteer. Well, we'll be able to rectify this at the end of the year when we're talking about the Game of the Year. We'll strike Gadgeteer from the conversation and talk about Solaris instead.
Yep. Yeah.
All right, so I'm just going into the notes and putting the winners down so I don't have to rewatch the episode in 6 months to get it.
Again. Yeah.
Yeah.
2 years you swore the first time you weren't gonna have to do it again, and then you did have to do it a second time the next year.
Not this year, bro. It's hard enough to write an 8-hour show and then have to go do all this stuff looking at these old episodes. All right, there we go. And that moves us on to Oculus Quest Roots. And needless to say, the Oculus Quest proving to be where it's at in VR right now. This was, well, let's just say this. When it comes to PlayStation VR, I gave you a list of all of the releases. When it comes to PC VR, I had to really scrape to make the list have more than one game. I had to basically list all the ones that I've heard of, just so I could have a list for us to go through. With Oculus Quest, however, there were great games that I left off of this list because I feel like five's enough. You know what I mean? So we have 5 great games on the Oculus Quest list, and I could have probably done 8 that deserve to be in the conversation that I did, but I trimmed it down a little bit.
Yeah, there was I'm sure a lot easier, and it was it's the only real discussion in my mind as far as like, okay, how I don't know what to do, like I do but I don't. So
Okay, so I'm just now finding out that I'm set to top chat again instead of live chat, which is really, really annoying.
I don't know why live chat's not the default, bro. Like, you know what I mean? Who's not looking at what's happening right now? I don't care what's going on at the top.
Oh, look, there's Onakazi. Apparently, you're not on the top, bro. By the way, kind of pleased that I had enough space bucks in both Pop One and Echo VR that I didn't have to purchase more. So 2 seasons for $10 seems pretty good. Yeah, not a bad deal.
Yeah.
All right, so Oculus Quest, what came out this month? Well, let me tell you. First of all, we had the port of the Wizards Dark Times. This came to us, of course, from Carve Studio on May 6, 2021. Ruuts, a very serviceable port of a very good PC VR game.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely everything translated in the gameplay for sure. And what didn't translate graphically still looked amazing for what it's on, and definitely a solid title.
Yeah, yeah. A game that was eye candy on PC, much more reserved on Quest, but again, serviceable. But the thing that makes Wizards Dark Times great is the gesture based combat, and that translated 1-to-1 onto the Quest version. So a very similar gameplay experience on Quest than that which you had on PC.
Yep, absolutely.
And then that very same day, we got Demio from Resolution Games, May 6, 2021. This game, the first of its kind, I would say, although there are some other tabletop style games, we've never really had this type of tabletop dungeon crawler that lets you be as in the game or back as you possibly want. It's very user friendly in that aspect, and it's really just a lot of fun with friends. Um, very popular on our Discord to this very day. Demio.
Yeah, absolutely. Definitely unique and definitely very one of the best co-ops out there. Really cool.
Yeah, and that really that's the MO for Resolution Games these days, right? They keep coming out with these games, and they're always very unique and always fun with friends.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. And I mean, we're getting ready to see new content shortly. You know, they're gonna be adding in a whole new dungeon. So
Hybrid Energy. These are PCVR games. Yep, but they did not come out on PCVR this month. They came out on Oculus Quest this month. So we're talking about Game of the Month May, and these are the games that came out this month.
yep.
Zero Caliber Reloaded. Talk about fun with friends. Roots X Real Games, May the 13th. 1 week later, after the Oculus Quest release or of Demio and the Wizards, we got Zero Caliber Reloaded.
Yeah, another co-op game, right? Seems to be the theme of the it's pretty much a VR anymore.
Yeah, I mean, and about time, right? Like we've been asking for it, and the game developers, the game studios, are finally answering the call and giving us some co-op stuff.
Yeah. Lipnock says Table of Tales is the only other game like this that I've played, but it's not really the same idea as far as a Demio. And Table of Tales was so good, dude. I still won't want to play it again. Hopefully, it comes to PC or Quest someday.
It is coming to Steam, sir.
Oh, nice! I'll tell you what, dude. I really was enthralled with that. Definitely very different, but definitely very similar. More of a story based um than Demio. So
Eddie C. Wes is tired. Cut him a break. No, you know, to cut me a break, dude. I'm not that tired. I mean, what are we supposed to do? Like, not include PC ports in the Oculus Quest game of the month? I mean, that doesn't make sense.
yeah.
But if that's the type of game that you want or exclusives, then how about Forever Bowl coming to us from Forever Games on May 27th? Roots, a lot of fun with friends, huh?
Yeah, yeah. A lot of people smack talking in this game, dude. I guess there's a lot of learning to be there's actually a learning curve in this game. Kind of like real bowling, Wes. You're kind of not just gonna go throw people want realism, but then they go down there and they expect that they're gonna throw this ball and it's gonna just go magically right down the middle. You kind of have to line yourself up and take a lot of things into consideration. So
Yeah, man. Like positioning being a big deal with that, and certainly would hope that they're going to implement some easier to use controls
Yeah,
with that regard.
I think it's coming.
You know who else is coming? Rick?
My mom!
Oh wow, she's getting frisky with her late hours.
Yeah, low hanging fruit. I had to take it, Roots. We didn't have a mom joke yet, so
That's right.
other than the ones that
GT.
GT dropped, and then somebody else dropped one in the chat earlier too. I forget who it was.
Yep.
Lipnox VR, they have a big update coming, hopefully this week. Yeah, well, that's going to be awesome, and it's already good fun. So,
Yep.
Eddie C, ooh, this is tough. Foreverbolt or Demio, or Carve Snowboarding, which came from Chuhai Labs on that very same day, May the 27th, 2021. We talked about at the top of the show, Roots. This is a fun game.
Yeah. Yeah. I'll tell you what. That's 5 good games. And definitely really hard choice.
But I'm not going to buy Oculus Quest Roots because there's nothing to play on it.
There's nothing good on it, man. It's just a bunch of tech demos and and what is it? Cell shaded graphics, bro.
Right. No, when you land your first grind on one of these rails, feels so good in this game. And even though this is a single player game only, it was one of my favorite Quest games that I played this month.
Wow, it's crazy. It's definitely
Yep.
a good game for sure.
Yeah, fun. All right. So Roots, I mean, it might seem like a hard decision there for Eddie or whoever that was that made that comment a moment ago. I lost it. Oh yeah, it was ADC. Ooh, this is tough for everybody or Demio. It's not that big of a mystery to me. When you look at our multiplayer channel on our Discord, there's one game that comes up day after day after day, multiple times per day, and not only do I think that this game is a shoe-in for Oculus Quest Game of the Month in May, I think that it's going to be on the short list when we talk about Game of the Year at the end of the year. I say Demio. I think it's hands down, and I don't think there's any debate.
Nah, I agree, and the exact same reason that you said, it's something that everybody keeps going back to, and it's something that's different every single time you play. Not only because of the characters you're playing or the circumstance, the cards you're getting, but the people you're playing with. And I would submit, and this is with every conversation, you could have the same 4 people, and it's going to be different because everybody's different. It's just a unique game, and it's just something that it's hard to get bored with no matter how much you play it. It's always going to be different, right?
Right. And Traveling Man says Demio has the most longevity. It will still be relevant at the end of the year. Yes, that's true because like in real life, these types of games, you can always get new decks. And there's one coming soon for this, the Rat King deck, which is going to completely change up the maps and the enemy characters to give a fresh coat of paint to this game that's already getting a lot of play from the initial deck. In fact, I would be surprised if by this time next week we don't have a release date for that.
Yeah, I'd be surprised as well.
All right. I think that I mean, as many good titles as there are here, I don't think there's any need for a runner up. I mean, um, Demio is kind of the hands down winner here. I particularly enjoyed Carve Snow. I mean, I enjoyed all these games. I enjoyed the snowboarding. I really liked Zero Caliber Reloaded. As far as genre goes, that's probably the one that'll actually end up getting the most play for me is the shooter. Um, but Demio is great, and people are playing it to death, and they're not getting sick of it.
Yeah, yeah, and it's even myself, I don't play it as much as other people, but whenever I get a chance, if I can, I'll squeeze in there. Although I do need to branch out and try to play a different hero. I've played only the wizard, and each one of them's
Uh,
unique, right? So
yeah, that's one of the things that makes this game really fun is that the different character classes really do change the gameplay up for you. Your role as a part of the larger team changes depending upon the character that you choose. And for those of you wondering what this awesome thumbnail I put up was from, that's actually card art from Demio from the sneak card routes for my character. And we were wondering if it was a lady. It's totally a lady.
yeah, well, it seems like everybody in this thing is a lady. Even the guy with the beard has a mask on, so I don't know exactly what's going on underneath the wizard. Sounds like
Sheila was a man.
it sounds like a guy, but I mean, who am I to presume in 2021? For sure. And actually, a little bit of trivia. I met Eddie C in Demio and brought him into the fold, into the family. And it's just how cool you can bring, meet people and they become a part of the community. So
Lipnox VR, does a VR patch count for this though? Possibly if it were an official VR port, we would consider it. We do not count mods as game of the month. Now, with that said, mods get their own special award during the 20 or the year end awards. This year being the 2021 show, we'll have an award for the best VR mod, and it seems like every year when we do this category for the best VR mod, the competition gets
mm,
stiffer and stiffer, right? And I feel like this year is going to be the most difficult to choose yet.
yeah. Well, you know who likes it when it gets stiffer and stiffer?
I do.
No, it's not working, bro. What happened?
I don't know. She's
It,
probably in
she's
bed.
she's pissed, dude. Oh god, maybe I went too far. Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, that was the one, Roots. You
That
crossed the line,
that was
bro.
it. That was it.
All right, so quickly then, let's move on to PC VR. And we'll kick it off by just saying right off the top, Demio did get a release onto Steam on May 6, 2021 from Resolution Games. Everything we just said about it on Oculus Quest applies to Steam as well. Although I will say this, I don't think that the visual differences are very big, are they?
I've not noticed too much of a difference. Well, actually, I don't know if I tried it on. Do we? They haven't came out with the thing yet, right? The Oculus version. So I have not tried it on
No.
it. From what I
Yeah,
hear,
I
it's
haven't.
not that much different. So
It is different, just not very
right,
different. What I hear anyway.
yeah.
So Lipnox VR, no Risk of Rain or Red Dead. I'm curious what wins PC. Demio again? Well, stay tuned. That is the first nominee, Demio. But there were some other releases this month. Now, albeit indie stuff. And this is kind of what we always said that PC's always going to have, right? They're always going to have these indie releases. So, Quest can have its Forever Bowls and its Carve Snowboarding. PCVR is going to have games like VAR, Exterminate. This game came to us from VAR Live International on May the 16th. Ruuts, who doesn't love a good wave shooter where you get to blow away zombies and monsters?
Yeah, I see. I didn't even know this game existed until I went to pull the trailer, or at least I don't remember. We may have talked about it, but I doubt it. I
PD
just
did a video on it. It's a fairly polished early access zombie shooter.
okay. I mean, it looks pretty cool. I mean, it definitely has a lot going on. It is a wave shooter, but that doesn't mean that's one thing that I would take from 2021 is wave shooter does not equal crap. You know what I mean? Like we've had a lot of games that would be considered wave shooters in one form or fashion have turned out to be some of my favorite games. So
Crashland is
Crashland,
incredible, dude.
yeah, absolutely. So it's hard to say. And then Zombieland, I wouldn't have thought was a good game until we tried it. So
Yeah. Well, yeah. So I would agree with everything you just said there. And Lipnox VR, what is this? This is VAR, VAR, Exterminate. This came out about 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, I guess Paradise Decay has a video on it, and check it out.
Yep. That brings us to Operation Armstrong from Full Bean Studio. We talked about this on our Sunday show, Ruuts. This is one of those asymmetric co-op games where non-VR players are playing an integral role in the ability of the VR player to infiltrate these facilities. It's nice, Ruuts, to be able to see some actual gameplay inside of this little map thing here, albeit short. Um, a game that I'm very aware of, a game that I have not heard anybody has actually played it and said anything about it.
It's the kiss of death, dude. Like, you can't. If you want to bring people that are not in VR and people that are VR together, you're already at a disadvantage, because that usually those people are completely separate environments for most people. And then the idea, it sounds like a good idea, like a good party thing. It just doesn't seem to have worked out that way. So
Yeah, it's a weird thing, right? I mean, it's a way to engage people. I feel like that you're going to get more families playing this sort of thing than you're going to get like friends. Like your friends coming over, they're not coming over to watch you play VR and dick around on their phone to try to help you play VR. You know what I mean? Uh, so I don't feel like that's going to happen. But I mean, I could see the scenario where the kids want to play with daddy or mommy or something, and this is their own little way that they can do that. So there's probably some value there for those type of scenarios. The only problem is that families aren't playing PCVR; they're playing Quest. So it's going to be kind of a hard sell on Steam for a game like this.
yeah, absolutely. So
But anyways, a fairly solid, polished looking game, and certainly one that I recognize. So it got a mention on this month's releases.
yeah, and now if it was a busy month, it wouldn't have made it. Maybe.
And right. And that brings us to the fourth and final title. This one I actually very interested in checking this one out. It's called Crystal Raiders VR. This is from Nyko and released on the 21st of May, 2021. Another one we covered on our show. It's like a Zelda style adventure game. This one can be played co-op as well.
Oh, with somebody outside of VR or just in general?
No,
Okay.
no, two VR players together exploring these castles and dungeons.
Oh, cool. How has it been received? I have not. I know we did talk about it. I haven't had a chance to check it out yet.
Now that I don't think it's been out all that long. Hold on, I'll bring it up and see if there's any reviews on it yet. But this one, I think had a demo during the last Steam event, and that's where I first really became aware of it. And then I had a proper pre-release preview that we did for it a couple weeks ago, and I thought it looked cool. But I don't know. I haven't seen if anybody's actually played it. It's $15 on Steam, and it's got 3 reviews, and not recommended from Fast Lawyer.
Mm.
Have you noticed that Fast Lawyer like reviews every VR game?
He's very, very active. He's got a lot of videos out there too.
Algirdas recommends it. Now the difference being Fast Lawyer has played the game for 1 hour, and Al Gerdas has played the game for 88 hours.
Oh, Jesus.
So something tells me that Al Gerdas was at the very least a beta tester and maybe even be one of the development team.
Right. Very possible. This game is called, which game? The Crystal Raiders?
Crystal Raiders VR.
We did mention VAR Exterminate and that GT, and Lipnox wants to know if anyone played that flying racing game. I know Radio Runt did, right?
Oh yeah, Jetborn. I didn't put that on the list. I probably should have.
Yeah, that definitely should have made the list, but I don't know that it would have beaten the game that's probably going to win.
Hey,
But
don't spoil it, man. Like people are on the edge of their seats
oh, I'm
wondering who's going to
sure.
win
Well,
this.
especially when the last selection of games actually were 5 really good games, and there was like, you know, no choice. Was the
All
choice
right.
made was good.
So I'm reading Crystal Raiders VR reviews. There's a third one, Roots, from a guy who played for an hour and a half. He says, I like it was thumbs up. He recommends the game. But he says, I like this game, but you don't have teleport, so I get motion sick.
Mm,
So there you go. There's the opposite, Roots. There's one of these people who
he's
want
he's
he wants
pissed.
teleport and quick turns, bro.
He wants teleport. He wants it now. I think it is becoming a very small minority of people that need teleport. I mean, I would imagine 5 years from now, teleport's probably not even a thing. Um,
I say 5 years from now, teleport's a thing in real life.
oh, that sounds good. Mm.
Anyway, do we even need to keep up the charade anymore?
Uh,
Everyone knows who the PC VR game of the month is going to be.
well, before we go to that, Gamertag says he tried Jetborn 5 minutes and got kind of bored. Maybe he needs to play it. That's kind of my thought was on it. GT was that I was, even though it was $10, I just thought, it just doesn't seem like the fact that you can't really. There's always something missing from every game for me. And you can only race against other people, and there's no campaign. There's no other way to race like AI and stuff. That I don't always want to race against people. So
He says VAR has constantly tried to pay me to show their game, but it was so shit.
how
We
much?
should just take their money and tell people it's shit.
Yeah, yeah. Say, hey, this is not good. But yeah, so I guess like you were saying, the game of the month is pretty much obvious, right? There are no
Yeah. Demio. I mean, if we had an all platforms game of the month, this is the all platforms game of the month, hands down. People love this game, and it apparently has legs. I haven't looked, but I guarantee you somebody on our Discord today was looking and trying to hook up with some people to play Demio. Guaranteed.
I think they.
And
I think you're right. I think I saw it actually. Usually it's Radio Run or there's actually quite a few people that are constantly in this game. You know, Wes, this is what funny thing about Demio, because it seems like a game that you're just going to be the same always, right? Like I went into it, I hadn't been in for a month, and I went in with Radio Run and some other people, and he's gone in there like every single day for several games, and I felt way outclassed. I'm like sitting there thinking, man, am I making the right move? Like because these people are experts now, and here comes Ruuts in here, he's just smashing into shit, right, almost killing everybody, and they're very, very meticulous on their moves, right? So,
yeah. Well, I mean, that was kind of the level of shock that we had playing with Mateo 311, right?
mhm,
It's like we came in all as newbies, and then he's like this friggin' expert doing weird math and stuff, trying to figure out the move sets. And those like, all right, bro.
yeah,
It was kind of like skirmish mode for him, right?
yeah, yeah. He was pretty much he was running the gambit, and he knew what he was doing.
Yes, sir. But yeah, I don't think there could that we've had very many months with such a clear decisive winner as Demio this month. It's certainly a well received game. It's a very fun to play, and it's the best out of a very good Resolution Games catalog. And I think that they have a lot to be proud of here. And I look forward to seeing what their upcoming deck expansions are going to be like.
Yeah, you just took the words right out of Gamertag's mouth. He's really looking forward to the next DLC. Me
Yeah,
myself included as well. And who knows what they're gonna have? New characters? Who knows? I think
yeah,
it'll be cool.
new characters, new enemies, new the whole new aesthetic for the dungeons, and I could see this game becoming a venue for tons of future content. It's so chilled. that we can pretty much have anybody on it and talk about anything we want while we play. It's a really it's a perfect game in many ways.
One thing I would warn people, as you're wanting change, because I know that I want change too. Everybody who doesn't want change, right? Um, that card, the coin flip card, I guarantee is going away, or something's changing with that thing, dude. Because like if they've got the card, it's happening. You know what I mean? I've never seen that card. I've seen somebody miss, but they usually have 2 or 3 other ones. And
That's the problem. That's the problem. You shouldn't be able to stack these cards, man. There should be one for like the whole squad.
that's it.
One person should be able to have that card.
You have one
And
shot, 150-50 chance to take out that boss, and if you don't, you're screwed. Or it's
because
very difficult.
even if it works a lot of the time, the fact that it might not work, that's going to affect the entire strategy going into it. Like you're going to have to prepare as if you're going to have to legitimately beat the boss, even if you don't have to. That's going to change the game significantly.
Yeah, absolutely. And so hopefully they'll change that. But I mean, because as much as I don't want to lose, it is kind of frustrating to kind of know that you're going to beat the boss every single time, no matter what happens. I mean,
Put in 2 hours just to win on a coin flip.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you said. I mean, because you know you're gonna, as the biggest problem is getting that the unheards to stop the queen from getting vulnerable, right? Once you do that, you're good. It's over. So.
Yep. Yeah, that's it. Anyway, I think that's going to wrap us up. I guess I need to write this down as if, right? As if I'm not going to remember who won this month.
Well, you know, go 6 months forward down the road and things get murky.
Well, let me ask GT while we've got him in chat here. What do you say, GT? PSVR game of the month? Is it Solaris or is it Gadgeteer? I'd be interested to know what you think. Obviously, you've probably played both of them. Maybe not on PlayStation, but you've played both games. I'd be interested to know what you think. What should be the game of the month?
Yeah. Crystal
Anyway,
Raiders. Eddie C's going to give Crystal Raiders a go. It's a good idea.
Yeah, there was at one point a demo for that game. I don't know if it's still available, but I know that during the last big Steam festival, they had a demo out.
Oh, somebody said, I think it was in the chat or was it the Discord? Somebody said that I think it was in the Discord that Museum of Other Realities is free on Steam right now. So
yep, that's absolutely true. It's free to keep on Steam and Viveport right now for a limited time. That was going to be one of the centerpieces for the free stuff and killer deals this week. But those people who are watching right now, they got the early heads up.
Yeah, Museum. I'm picking it up right now because it's free.
Oh, GT's never played Gadgeteer. It's fun, man.
What the hell's wrong with you, bro?
It's a cool chill game. You can play it with 2 feet by 2 feet of space. You can play it sitting down. You can play it standing up. I played it laying in a hotel bed with my wife, and I didn't wake her up. So it's a good time.
Steam
Eddie C just noticed that my background is from Doom 3. Yeah, it's the infamous scene with the guy back there, right? He's always just lurking back there watching peeping while we do our business.
He's just creeping in the bathroom, bro. That's not cool.
Yeah, bathroom creepers are the worst.
They are the worst, dude. Even in the
especially now that the bathrooms aren't segregated anymore. This dude might be in there with your daughter, Ruuts.
He better not be. Although she's
it's okay though, cause it's okay though, because he feels like a lady inside.
Well, I was gonna say she's an adult, so she can kick his ass herself. Get out of here, bro.
Anyway, Libnox VR, I checked that Museum of Realities out and it was awesome. The only thing I dislike is the controls, but it's no biggie to teleport in a museum. Yeah, the teleport is teleport, obviously, but the cool thing is you can float. You don't just have to teleport. You point your controllers in a direction, you hold the button down, and you float in that direction. So dual dual locomotion in that game.
Or just get in a room that's as big as the museum and you can walk around everywhere. Did you know?
Yeah,
Did you know that somebody just sold, and it's not so much the selling that confuses me. Somebody just bought artwork of an invisible sculpture, which tells you that there's nothing there, bro. Like, we're in a weird time, Wes. I read that today,
yeah.
and I was like, "Are you kidding me?" Like, I didn't think anybody would buy that. It's crazy.
It's like the ideas that people have these days are just so off the wall. They're so illogical. Like these currencies people are trading now, these limited edition currencies, cryptocurrencies. I forget what they're called. There's a term for it. But people just they'll issue a currency for anything. Like we just hit 1,100 subscribers on the channel, so like if we were popular, somebody could do a virtual strangers 1,100 subscribers currency, and there's only one, and then they'll auction it off, and people will buy it who think that this event is going to be so significant in the future that the currency based on it is going to be worth something.
Yeah, that's weird. I
It
don't
is weird, man.
I don't think we should make a currency on our 1100. I'm just saying I don't think
NFTs. Thank you, Lipnox, Onakazi. They know what I'm talking about. NFTs. It's the stupidest thing I've ever heard of. It sounds like a sucker's game, a money racket.
There's a lot of them out there. A lot of different ideas out there right now, right?
Non-fungible tokens. There you go.
Man, they're
That's the
definitely
one.
they're definitely out there, and I'll leave that to somebody else. I don't know enough
Yeah.
about them.
I like real money.
Yeah, I like gold and silver, if not money.
Yeah, because you can take gold pieces to Walmart and buy anything you need, right?
Man, not right now.
Anyway, before this thing goes too far off the rails, I think we should say thank you to our friends in chat who showed up to check out the show, and thank you to those of you watching the show tomorrow after the fact. You got to stay up late. You got to show up live. Maybe you thought that Carve Snowboarding was the Quest game of the month. Well, you weren't here, so we didn't hear you. So if you think so, leave a comment in the comments down below, and we will deal with you accordingly the next time we come live on the air. You know who loves coming on the air, Ruuts?
Wow, I can't hit the button. Mom. Oh,
all right. If you're new to the channel, please hit the big red button and the bell to subscribe and stay up with all of our content here on the Virtual Strangers channel. If you're not new to the channel, but you want to do a little something extra, if you want to support and in the process gain access to my weekly show notes, occasional insider updates, how about the money show? $3 per month. That's all it takes, and you can gain access to all this stuff. And by the way, we've got some new friends joining us on Patreon, and there was more than one, so I want to get on here and make sure that I don't leave anybody out. We did shout out Island Kara this past week for joining, but since then we have had, I think, two more. Let's see here. Meow Meow the Gamer Cat. There's one. Thank you for supporting Meow Meow the Gamer Cat. And the other one must have been in June because it's not on my notifications here. So
that'll be next week, right? That will
no,
notify.
give me just a second here. Wolveraza, of course, we thanked him because he's been awesome, not only as a patron, but as a community member in general. Talk about an active Discord user, man. Wolveraza.
Yeah, absolutely. Eddie C says, "When is the money show?" We just got to squeeze some time together. That's our biggest, Wes's and my biggest problem is our conflicting schedules. When he's up, I'm
I would
sleeping.
say I think Eddie C was the other one. Eddie C, which we think I thought that maybe he did it a few weeks ago, but looks like he's the most recent one. So
No, he
thanks,
signed up
Eddie.
yesterday. Yeah.
Yeah. So thanks, Eddie. Thanks, me. What was I thinking that he was already
Because
patron. Rick.
he's
Good.
been around for he feels like he's been around forever. Well, we definitely need to get that money show out there for you specifically and everybody else that has signed up. They deserve it.
That's true. We are doing another money show. I would say though, for those of you who are new, go back and check out the old ones just so you can get an idea for what the money show is and what it's like. And even though a lot of the conversation that we had in some of those shows isn't relevant to today. Generally, we've had some resolution in some of the things we've talked about. There are other things that are still ongoing, and it's interesting to see what we thought then and the way things have gone since then, compared to what we said about them at the time. So, and on top of all that, there's gameplay to watch. Like I still think that our Stormland money show, highly entertaining even today, just because of the gameplay in it.
That's such a good game.
It is. It's so great. I was watching someone was playing that. I think it was PD. PD just did a video on it. And it just reminded me how awesome the game is and how it's overlooked. People still talk about Asgard's Wrath a lot. But I feel like, Stormland, as far as like
Gameplay wise, guess which game I finished and which one I didn't.
exactly, that's my point. Like Stormland, you're much more likely to go back to, uh, just because like you could play that game for 2 hours and never progress the story at all and have a blast at it. It's one of those games that it's just fun just to play in it, mess around. It's
Yeah.
it's a blast.
Yeah, the movement and the gunplay, everything about it is amazing. If it had a story, it would have been one of the best games out there. You know?
So Meow Meow the Gamer Cat says, just signed up today. This is a private message, by the way. I hope he doesn't mind me saying it, but
Ooh.
just signed up today. No need for an on-air shout out or anything. But guess what? Too late for that, bro.
Yeah, we appreciate you, man. And I'll shout you out too. Thank you, Meow Meow. We appreciate you, bro. Like, please don't shout me out. Hey, let me shout you out. Da-da. You know, you make the biggest production ever.
Yeah, I was wondering about that because I've been trying to consider ways to obviously thank these people on a weekly basis or semi-weekly during the shows. A lot of people do tickers along the bottom of the screen or a list at the end of the show. I'd like to do something like that because these people don't yet realize how much they are helping us to move to the next level. They don't yet realize it. They're going to know real soon, but um, they deserve our gratitude. And even weeks that we forget to mention it, which I don't think there's a lot, but every now and then we do, it does slip our mind. So it would be nice to recognize these people. But then it occurred to me that maybe not all of them want to be recognized. So it's a tricky thing.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's see. Trying to make sure we hit all the things. We hit the subscribe, we hit the like. Be sure to give it a thumbs up if you like the video. Subscribe, hit the bell. Patreon for those of you who want to really support the channel in a more extensive and way. And our ride or dies are on the Patreon, so we really appreciate you. And even if you don't, what you could do is you could just come hang out with us on our Discord, because as much time as we spend on the YouTube side of things, it's only a fraction of the time that we spend with our Discord community. It's only a fraction of the conversation is had on the actual show. Most of the conversation takes place in our home, and Discord is our home. It's your home. We invite you to come home by clicking the link in the description below.
Yeah, come hang out. Play some games.
Play some Demio. Game of the month, Demio.
Yeah, absolutely. Radio Run's looking for a partner right now, probably.
You know who else is looking for a partner, Ruuts?
She is. She sure is, man.
My mom.
I feel inadequate without my button, bro. I'm very, very shocked.
That's a good point. Flipnox VR. The Discord is the best reminder for the episodes. Yeah, you can't count on YouTube to always let you know when the show's going to start. But most of the time I'll remember to tag everyone. Everyone that's online. I don't often use the at
Everyone.
everyone tag. That's only for special occasions, but I do tag the ones that are online most of the time.
Yeah. Yeah. So come home. Hey.
Traveling man 3775 coming through as he always does with the goodbye note, $5 note
The
as it
caboose.
is. Yeah. Thanks for supporting as always.
Yep.
Traveling man. Your money will not go to waste, I assure you.
We appreciate it for sure.
Still his money. We're just holding it and spending it for him.
We're spending it wisely though, I promise.
Yes, indeed. Anyway, with that said, friends, I'd like to thank you all once again for watching. For Ruuts, I'm Wes. We'll see you in a couple days. Bye now.
Take it easy.